2 hours later. The travel-worn Suru Vice Admiral, the staff officer of the naval headquarters, just came to Marie Joyce from the G5 fortress. He was ushered into the room of power by his servants. Kong, the Marine Marshal, told the general situation to the Marine think tank. Suru, what do you think? The 5 elders looked at Suru, who was serious and thoughtful, waiting for his response. If they don't get the support of the other party, even if they forcefully pass the World Conscription Order, if Kong and Suru Vice Admiral and other Marine executives strongly resist in private, it will cause a lot of resistance. Maybe all their painstaking efforts will be in vain, and it may cause fierce conflicts within Marine, causing unnecessary internal friction. The current situation in the sea is out of control, and Marine is weaker than ever before. It will take at least 5 to 10 years or even longer to recover. Suru Vice Admiral was silent for a long time, and Fang slowly said, it is the only way out of desperation. Suru, do you agree with? Marine Marshal Kong raised his eyebrows. He didn't expect Ahi Vice Admiral to have no objection. Suru Vice Admiral breathed a sigh of relief. Although it may cause some bad effects, it is inevitable. No matter how unreliable those guys are, at worst, they can buy some time for Marine, until Momoshagi, T-Porpoise and other new generation leaders with great potential grow up one after another. That's right, it's rare that you are so sensible, Suru. As expected of Marine's think tank, your courage is indeed beyond our expectation. You are really a woman. The 5 elders spoke one after another. I am extremely satisfied with Suru Vice Admiral's attitude and highly appreciate it. In fact, if it wasn't for seeing the situation in the sea getting worse and getting out of control, they wouldn't want to recruit those folks who have no taboos, are used to doing things their own way, and do things according to their personal preferences, and they are not reliable no matter what they think. Regardless of the size of the war machine, naval headquarters is huge, with millions of soldiers, and there are hundreds of branch bases, large and small, all over the sea. But in the final analysis, there is no production at all, and the economic lifeline is completely in the hands of the world government. In particular, there are countless islands scattered in this sea, and they can only communicate with each other through specially bred phone bugs, so the traffic is blocked and travel is inconvenient. As a result, naval headquarters has extremely weak control over those branch bases. The chiefs of those branch bases are equivalent to feudal officials and even local emperors. They are only intimidated by the powerful force and prestige of naval headquarters and world government on weekdays. Even if you really have any ambitions in private, at least they dare not openly disobey the orders of the Marine and world government. And if naval headquarters loses the support of world government, this behemoth will definitely fall apart in the shortest possible time. It may even directly evolve into a situation where the warlords split and the warlords split. Even if Kong, the Marine Marshal, wants to take the lead and directly lead Marine to launch a military coup and directly revolutionize the world government, or the lives of world nobles, and celestial dragons, it is simply impossible. The Cipher Pulsifer pole directly under the world government, which has ruled the entire sea for hundreds of years and has a profound heritage, is not just a decoration. No one knows how much sand they've poured into the violent machine of Marine over the years. Believe it or not, Kong, the Marine Marshal, set up a flag 1 second to launch a military coup, and the next second those Marine generals who usually chanted slogans of justice rebelled directly and stabbed him in the back. However, there is one thing, we also need the support of the world government. Suru Vice Admiral suddenly changed the topic and his face became serious. Oh? Long Whitebeard 5 elders raised his eyebrows. Please tell me. The other 5 elders also looked at Suru Vice Admiral. About the tens of thousands of elites who were captured by the Big Mom pirates this time, we must find a way to rescue them. Even if it is not good, we must redeem them. Suru Vice Admiral said in a deep voice. If the world government and naval headquarters ignore their lives and deaths, it will definitely have a very bad impact and the consequences will be very serious. At that time, Marines will have no way to explain to their relatives and friends, and other Marine personnel will be disappointed with the high-level officials. I am afraid that no one will be willing to work for world government FA. Moreover, if they are all killed, it's okay to say, once they are bewitched and controlled by the Big Mom pirates, their power will expand unprecedentedly, and it will undoubtedly be a huge threat to Marine and the world government. We are also deeply concerned about this. Blonde 5 elders nodded seriously. And this matter, the CP side has been working hard at the moment, and is already seeking opportunities to negotiate with the Big Mom pirates. But I'm afraid that the ambitious Big Mom pirates will open their mouths, and the price they will offer is too high to bear. The bald 5 elders with round glasses gritted his teeth. lost his favorite sword, first-generation Onitoru. He ordered to summon famous craftsmen to use the best materials, and spent half a month working tirelessly to imitate one for him. Although the new famous knife is eligible to be ranked among the 21 major knives. But in the end it is not as good as the original first-generation Onitsu. Let him hate Charlotte Wilhelm and even the Big Mom pirates to the bone. 5. Your Excellencies. Suru Vice Admiral said directly. I hope that this matter can be presided over by our Marine. Let Cipher Pol cooperate with us, and give us the greatest negotiation authority. The tens of thousands of Marine elites who were captured. No matter from one aspect, it is very important to the current Marine and cannot be ignored. She was a little worried about letting the cold-blooded executioners of Cipher Pol preside over the negotiations with the Big Mom pirates. The early redemption of the tens of thousands of Marine elites who have undergone rigorous training and are brave and good at fighting is very important for the Marines whose current forces are already stretched and overwhelmed. Not only can it calm people's hearts, but it can also restore Marines' vitality quickly. In particular, these are elite veterans who are truly brave and good at fighting, and they don't need to spend a lot of time on training. As long as they can be properly appeased and encouraged, they can go directly into battle and send them out to suppress those troubled sea soldiers. Thieves, to suppress the current situation in the first half of the Grand Line that can be said to be completely out of control. Moreover, since the establishment of the Marine, the world's conscription has been relaxed, and some unruly, even ambitious and ulterior motives will inevitably be recruited. Naval headquarters, which is currently empty of troops, needs to be further supplemented in order to better restrain and deter those rebellious guys. But not beyond the bottom line of the world government. 5 elders looked at each other and nodded. It is indeed a bit embarrassing for the dignified world government to be forced to negotiate with the pirates in such a humble way to redeem the captured Marine personnel. If it's just 1 or 2,000 Marines, or 10 or 20,000 ordinary Marines, in order to maintain the face of the world government, they may refuse without blinking their eyes. But there are tens of thousands of Marines. It happened to be the elite drawn from the Grand Line. Originally, the strength shown by the Big Mom pirates was amazing enough. If such a huge force really fell into the hands of the Big Mom pirates, even they would inevitably feel restless. Furthermore, if the tens of thousands of elites can be redeemed, Marine can recover a little bit of vitality. Then, it's settled like this. The rules and regulations involved in the world conscription, the relevant regulations that need to be formulated, etc., will be presided over by your Marine side. The world government will give full support. In addition, in view of the current erosive sea situation is not optimistic, it is estimated that in the next 3 to 5 years, the military expenditure allocated by the world government to Marine will increase by 20 to 30% compared to previous years. Let's see the aftermath. The middle half of New World. Toto Land Sea Area, Cake Island Headquarters. In the hall on the top floor of Cake Castle, including Wilhelm, Katakuri, Perispero, Cracker and other dessert 4 stars. Most of the cadres of the Charlotte family gathered here. They are only 16 years old, but their strength has been fully recognized by other Charlotte family cadres and even Charlotte Linlin. The 3 Smoothie sisters, who were fully qualified to appear here, were arranged by Wilhelm to guard the Island of Love. After all, there are too many secrets there, and there is no room for error. Mama, I have seen your performance in this war, and they are all quite good. The tall Charlotte Linlin, bold and grandiose, sat there. Looking at the 5 people standing in the center of the hall, Shiryu of the Rain, Kuro, Miyamoto Musashi, Swordsman Ryoma, and Gecko Moria, he grinned and said, but, since you have accepted Wilhelm's invitation and joined the Big Mom Kai thieves, then follow the rules of Toto Land. Understood. Marriage? Rain-ji Shiryu took down the cigar in his mouth and said with a light smile, I have no objection. Feather Serpent Kerr shrugged and laughed loudly, yahahaha, whatever you want. He, it's fine if a woman can have children, right? Gecko Moria, who looks like a ghost and has a fierce face, is very sturdy. The next 2 people have no objections. The swordsman Ryoma and Miyamoto Musashi looked at each other and nodded silently. There is no objection. Anyway, Wilhelm had already told them that they would marry each other if they liked each other. He won't blame, and he doesn't like to engage in this kind of thing, but right now the Big Mom pirates are still in charge of Charlotte Linlin, so they have to go through the motions first. Otherwise, it's just a joke, coaxing the Queen of Big Mom, so as not to cause any unnecessary disturbances. The rest will be handled by him privately. Generally speaking, if they get along well, they can make a fake show and make a real show. If you don't get along, you have the right to go through a farce-like process, cutscenes, play on the spot, and play your own way. Almost all the normal-looking female members of the Charlotte family were drawn into his team by him. Although it's a bit inappropriate in terms of standpoint, but he, the boss, can't ask his subordinates to ask for crooked dates. Mama, that would be great. Charlotte Linlin laughed with satisfaction. Then, Compert, let all your grown-up sisters come out and see you. For this kind of thing, it's better to be happy with each other, mama. Yes, Mom. Compat, who was bloated and had already been married under the arrangement of Charlotte Linlin, nodded with a smile. She smiled directly towards the passage on the left. Sisters, come out. Yes, Sister Compote. Tell me, who among the 5 is more handsome? If you want me to say it's still Shimotsuki Ryoma, I heard it's still the descendant of the old dragon-slaying warrior. He, in terms of handsomeness, who can compare to our brother Wilhelm? You guys are too bold, ha, for a while. Several female members of the Charlotte family, who looked strange and beautifully dressed, filed in. There were laughter, and it seemed lively. Each character as bold and open, not shy at all. Some people directly winked at Shiryu of the Rain, Musashi Miyamoto and others. This made Wilhelm, who was standing aside with Katakori and the others, twitch the corners of his mouth, with black lines all over his head. Charlotte Linlin and Sister Compote, this show is like a bustard in the pirate world. Introduce Geisha to Shiryu of the Rain, Swordsman Ryoma, Miyamoto Musashi, Feathered Snake Kerr, Moria and others, let them choose. Make him a little speechless. But right now the Charlotte family is still in charge of Charlotte Linlin after all. Before accumulating enough strength and making full preparations, he has the right to act as a farce. Fortunately, he already knew Chu Charlotte Linlin's purpose. Armand, Custard, and other female members of the Charlotte family who have a good relationship with him on weekdays have already asked them to stay on the Island of Love, so there is no need to follow them, just perfunctory. Otherwise, it would be a bit annoying. Mama, these are my unmarried daughters, although there are still a few who haven't come, but it's almost the same. Happily pointing to his daughters, Charlotte Linlin, who was in a good mood, said directly to Shiryu Amaze, Musashi Miyamoto and the others, if you like something, just take it back. In that case, then I will marry Miss Angelo. Shiryu of the Rain shrugged. He picked the 7th daughter of the Charlotte family, who was relatively normal in appearance, and rather handsome, that is, the sister of Cracker and Custard, Angelo. Although I don't know whether they can get along well, but at least there is some eye contact. It's not like other female members of the Charlotte family, just looking at it makes him a little off-putting. Of course, Shiryu of the Rain will not touch the other party unless he really intends to have a fake show with the other party. The daughter of the Charlotte family is not something he can touch at will. Miss Angelo. Biting his cigar, Shiryu of the Rain stepped forward and took the other's hand. Looking at the boldly dressed 7th daughter of the Charlotte family, she smiled and said, from now on, please give me more advice. Okay. Although is not the most ideal in his heart, he is a more handsome swordsman than others. But Anjilu was still very happy to see Shiryu of the Rain so discerning. After all, she, a member of the Charlotte family, also saw the opponent's strong strength. It is said that she was the head of the Impelled Down, and her status is not low. Most importantly, as a daughter of the Charlotte family, she never dared to resist the will of her mother, Charlotte Linlin, and could only let herself live as optimistically as possible. Rather than being treated as an abandoned son of a marriage, marrying those mediocre princes and nobles who are like waste, when everything is taken away by the Big Mom pirates, they will not hesitate to abandon them. In her opinion, it is the best choice to marry a strong man like Shiryu Rain, who is far from being handsome, but at least looks not annoying. Then I'll take the liberty, and Gecko Moria and others no longer hesitate. Regardless of whether they like it or not, they stepped forward to choose a daughter of the Charlotte family. Lest you piss off Charlotte Linlin, who is an out-and-out monster. Mama, at the celebration banquet and tea party in a few days, I will hold a wedding for you by the way, double happiness. Charlotte Linlin was overjoyed to see Shiryu and others so knowledgeable. A ridiculous farce, soon over. 5 people, Shiryu of the Rain, Gecko Moria, Miyamoto Musashi, Swordsman Ryoma, and Feathered Serpent Kerr. All Chi-Chi sat opposite to Charlotte Linlin. There, with Charlotte Linlin, the captain of the Big Mom Pirates, drank the Yizi wine, which symbolized that they officially joined the Big Mom Pirates. Of course, in the eyes of Shiryu of the Rain and Musashi Miyamoto, they are loyal to the Big Mom Pirates. Because, the only one who can bring a bright future to the Big Mom Pirates is the Prince of War, Jonglot Wilhelm. Big dinner above. A mediocre photo. Under the astonished gazes of Shiryu of the Rain, Ryoma the swordsman and others. It was brought up respectfully by Homie's soldiers and placed on the seat opposite to Charlotte Linlin. But the few people who had already been reminded by Wilhelm in advance, naturally would not ask for information about this Holy Mother out of boredom. A group of members of the Charlotte family of different shapes, including Shiryu, Moria, and several prospective sons-in-law of the Charlotte family sat around a huge round table. Plenty of beautiful desserts, delicious food was brought up. I have to say that in terms of food, Charlotte Linlin really enjoys Ultimate. She has worked with her for decades, and witnessed the establishment of the Big Mom Pirates. Relying on his ability, he also has quite superb cooking skills. Eat me, eat me, eat me, to be eaten. Based on Charlotte Linlin's bad tales, infused with soul power, it became the life of homies, chattering and chattering there. The eyelids of Shiryu the Rain, Ryoma the swordsman and others who participated in this Charlotte family banquet for the first time could not help but twitch slightly. Mama mama, come on, everyone. After praying to the Holy Mother, Carmel Luoxio. Charlotte Linlin, who was extremely happy, was surprisingly approachable at this time, and happily raised his glass. Cheers to our Charlotte family's big victory. Cheers. Cheers to Shiryu, Moria, Musashi, Ryoma, Cool, and others. Cheers. Drink 3 rounds. During the banquet, toasts were mixed. There is no rule about not talking when eating or sleeping. The moody Charlotte Linlin also enjoyed the bustling atmosphere, letting go of her majesty as a parent. Whether it's a toast to Shiryu of the Rain or to the other children of the Charlotte family, everyone comes. Of course, the premise is not to touch her bottom line. As the most popular member of the Charlotte family, Wilhelm was naturally the light that attracted much attention at the banquet. However, on such an occasion, he did not refuse to toast to those brothers and sisters and even Shiryu of the Rain. Anyway, as a natural monster, he has an amazing drinking capacity. This drink can't make him drunk at all. After drinking and eating, the banquet is over. Wilhelm came to Big Mom's room alone. Mama mama, Wilhelm, what do you want? Charlotte Linlin was a little surprised. Wilhelm asked with a smile. I heard that Mom, you sent those Titans, Vice Admiral, to Cake Island? The tens of thousands of marine captives have all been transferred to the Island of Love by him. Because, even if he wants to use these hostages to trade with the world government and naval headquarters and ask for a sky-high ransom, he is not prepared to return them back in full. Not everyone draws him a lifespan of 20 or 30 years. I am really sorry for my hard work these days. Moreover, with a huge source of soul power, it is also convenient for him to directly cooperate with Dr. Hawkins on the Island of Love to build a new type of homies army that completely obeys his orders, strengthen the defense there, and become a real iron wall. Do you have any comments? Mama mama. Charlotte Linlin narrowed her eyes, warning. Ugly words come first. Even if you are my dear son, don't even think about telling me what to do with my old lady in this regard, Wilhelm. For Toto Land, and all nations, which claim to gather all races on the sea. However, there are only a handful of races such as the Titan race. It has always been a heart disease, or regret, for her. This time, they managed to capture a few naval headquarters Titan Vice Admiral. She is going to choose 1 or 2 of them, and accept her as her husband, and she wants to live with a few children of Titan blood. No, my mother wants to have a few children of Titan descent, and I will spare no effort to support it. This is a good thing for the Charlotte family. Wilhelm shook his head. Then what do you mean? I think that a noble and great queen with unparalleled strength like you, mother, is not worthy of all crooked melons and dates. Wilhelm looked at Charlotte Linlin and said bluntly, because of the dislike and rejection of you by the Titans, if you want to forcefully marry those single-minded guys, I'm afraid you would rather die than surrender. Maybe we can use a scientific method to save those unnecessary processes, so that you don't have the blood of the Titan family. Oh? Charlotte Linlin raised an eyebrow. She looked at Wilhelm and asked suspiciously, is that kind of thing possible? I think there is basically no problem, Wilhelm said bluntly. Even their children can be born. It can be seen that it is still possible to directly let the small homies soldiers artificially inseminate them. Otherwise, adding a father to himself every few days, even if it was only in name, he never regarded Charlotte Linlin as a relative from the bottom of his heart, and Wilhelm was a little tired. Most importantly, since Charlotte Linlin is willing to give birth, he really wants to select some excellent genes for it, to see if Charlotte Linlin can reproduce a few powerful monsters. It's not bad at all, but it's okay to reach the level of Smoothie and Katakuri. Anyway, All Charlotte Linlin's efforts are destined to make wedding clothes for him. Besides, Mom should have heard of the ancient titans, right? Wilhelm smiled and said, with such a huge body, it is basically impossible for ordinary people to conceive with their blood, but it is not necessarily the case through scientific methods. He also has some expectations. In his eyes, the current Charlotte Linlin has been completely reduced to a puppet. Especially after asking Moria, he has learned that the other party has found the body of the demon Oz who shocked the world hundreds of years ago, and put it on the ghost island of West Blue. That is a huge, far superior to ordinary Titan race, an extremely rare and rare ancient Titan race. He can completely use the recovery ability of Paramecia healing fruit in 10 rings to revitalize its huge corpse. Even directly use the zone ability of the common species or the ancient species to resurrect it. Extract the genes of the ancient Titan family from the opponent's body. Then, through a scientific method, no matter what race the male of Charlotte Linlin combines with, she can give birth to a child with the talent of that race, a heterogeneous pregnancy that seems to have no racial barriers at all. See if you can produce a monster with the blood of the ancient Titans. Ancient Titans? Charlotte Linlin eyes light guy. She was a little excited, and said happily, Mama, then try it as you want, but you have to hurry up, I can't wait. It would be great if Wilhelm's method actually worked. After all, those weak men really bored her. If it wasn't for the sake of giving birth to some children with excellent bloodlines and racial talents, she wouldn't even bother to look at it. Charlotte Linlin couldn't help but look forward to having a child of Titan or even ancient Titan blood. Mama, my dear Wilhelm, you are really my lucky star. Clear. The moon and stars are rare. Wilhelm, who had finished talking with Charlotte Linlin, had no intention of leaving immediately. Instead, let Shiryu of the Rain, Miyamoto Musashi, Gecko Moria and others return to the island of Love first. After a few days of waiting, it is equivalent to the real celebration banquet of the Big Mom Pirates, a tea party dedicated to showing off their strength, to big shots from all walks of life, and a so-called wedding. The deserted suburbs, without warning, a tall figure appears directly in front of Wilhelm. Swipe. Katakuri snapped his fingers. In an instant, a spherical vacuum zone was created from a few meters away to isolate the transmission of sound. Obviously, they don't want the next conversation between their brothers to be accidentally overheard by others. Apart from Wilhelm, a natural monster, this Charlotte family has the strongest talent. He also owns the Conqueror's Hockey. He has become more and more proficient at mastering the Logia air fruit, which can be said to be handy. Are you really going to do this? This is impossible, Katakuri big brother. Please explain it to your sisters in private. Wilhelm spread his hands and said to Katakuri. However, let them pay attention, don't show your feet in front of mother. Your philosophy is really completely different from that of your mother. Staring at the younger brother, Katakuri said in a deep voice. He didn't expect that Wilhelm would dare to lie to their tyrannical and moody mother with a fake wedding. Clearly, as confident, but he knew very well that this younger brother was indeed fearless. Not only its own strength, but also the ability to successively obtain Paramecia Momo fruit and Logia frozen fruit, relying on the upgraded 10 rings. In addition, the Paramecia transfer fruit ability that completely restrains Paramecia soul fruit. If the two really clashed, the outcome is really unpredictable. At least, with the power currently held by this younger brother of Wilhelm. And some brothers and sisters in the Charlotte family who have stood by him unwaveringly. To put it bluntly, if you leave the Big Mom Pirates and go it alone, I'm afraid it won't be long before you become another Beast's Pirates and may even surpass the Big Mom Pirates. Become the uncrowned king of the new world. Mom's thoughts, at present we really can't correct. Wilhelm looked in the direction of Cake Castle, and said calmly, but seeing my brothers and sisters one after another as a tool for marriage, and entering into an unrestricted marriage with others, for people as proud as you and me, isn't it a disgrace to Chiluoluo? Also, that holy mother, Garmer Luo Shu, Katakuri, whose picture is always placed opposite to each other by her mother at every banquet. Do you know who she is just now? Okay. Katakuri raised an eyebrow. Looking at Wilhelm puzzled, he frowned and recalled. When I was young, I heard from my mother that she was a great nun who once prevented the naval headquarters from publicly executing members of the giant soldiers pirates, and resolved the relationship between the Titans, and hundreds of years of contradictions in the world government made it the first time for a Titan warrior to join the Marine. That giant John was the first Titan Vice Admiral to join the Marine because of this. No, it's just a show co-directed by the world government and that Garmer woman Luo Shu from the beginning to the end. It's used to deceive the simple-minded Titan tribe, so as to resolve the Titan tribe's hostility towards the world government and marine, thus gradually gaining the combat power of the Titan clan. Wilhelm shrugged his shoulders and said, "The girl Luo Shu of Garmer became famous in this sea, she won the reputation of Holy Mother, and she even directly lived in the village of the Albaf Titans, thus winning the title of the Titans Trust, and even opened an orphanage in Albav to take in orphans from all over the world." "You mean, the world government has secretly connected with the daughter of Garmer Luo Shu?" Katakori's pupils narrowed sharply. "Some can't believe it, but think about it carefully," as Wilhelm said. "Is the world government such a talkative person? Indeed, as long as you think deeply about this kind of thing, you will be able to guess the tricks. World government and naval headquarters will give up the public execution of Titan pirates because of a little-known nun. No matter how you think about it, it is impossible. It's more than just a connection. It's a mess." Wilhelm sneered and said, "Who would have thought that this seemingly kind and benevolent, Holy Mother, is actually a notorious human trafficker in private, code-named Mountain Grass 1. Secretly by taking in those problem children from all over the world, and selling those children with good qualifications to the world government." Looking at Katakori, Wilhelm asked meaningfully, "And decades ago, this Holy Mother finally wanted to sell the child to the world government. Katakori big brother, do you know who it is?" Charlotte Linlin, a 5-year-old, was exiled to Al-Baf by the kingdom because of her huge size and infinite strength, which brought a lot of damage to the country, so she was adopted by the Holy Mother of Carmelites. Because of the onset of cravings, he destroyed the village of the Titans and unintentionally killed the hero of the Titans. The world's oldest warrior, Waterfall Beard, Lulu, should have been executed by the angry Titans, but was killed by the Carmelites. A natural monster saved at any cost. Ha! Katakori's complexion changed. "Then you mean, Mom was completely kept in the dark?" His face became extremely serious. He stared at Wilhelm, and asked seriously, "Is the news reliable?" He could imagine that if Charlotte Linlin knew the true face of the Carmelites, how furious that mother would be. "This is the news I integrated from Marie Joyce and the Titans, basically there will be no." Wilhelm looked calm, and said lightly, "It is said that the Cipher Pole agent who was in charge of dealing with the Carmelites gave a very high evaluation in the face of Mother's qualifications. As a Marine, in the future, it will be either Admiral or Marshal level. As a CP, he can also become the strongest shield of celestial dragons. Of course, Mother's current achievements have already proved it." Katakori was not surprised. After all, their mother Charlotte Linlin's performance put it there. Naturally born monsters, let alone talk. Now it is an existence that reigns over the new world like a pirate king. Its overwhelming power is comparable to Marine Admiral and even Marine Marshal, and even better. But what really surprised me is, Wilhelm looked directly at Katakori with sharp eyes, and said with a sneer, "That Mountain Granny is going to finish this job and go straight to the golden pot." She washed her hands and retired, and she was also the previous owner of Paramecia Soul Fruit. "What? Soul Fruit?" Katakori's complexion changed drastically. Looking at Wilhelm in disbelief, "Is this really a coincidence?" "Well, our mother, before she was officially sold to the world government, swallowed that Garmer Luo Shu girl and her little friends in her stomach at her 6th-year-old birthday party." Wilhelm's tone was very calm, but in Katakori's ears, it sounded like a thunderclap. "Then, miraculously possessed the ability of Paramecia Soul Fruit." This, Katakori felt a little shivering, and his scalp felt inexplicably numb. If Wilhelm's information is correct, what kind of monster is their mother? Longbread happened to be on that island and witnessed everything, so he directly accompanied his mother and led him on the road of pirates. I think he should know the truth of everything. Saying that, Wilhelm's silver-white figure instantly disappeared in front of Katakori. But it appeared again in a blink of an eye, and in his hand, there was an unconscious figure. Katakori's eyes were fixed, and he recognized that it was the head chef of the Big Mom Pirates, the Longbread. "This is Pado's deformed leaf, on which I have written the name of the Red Earl." Wilhelm took a deformed leaf that had already been written on it, and said directly to Katakori, "Just use the ability of the raccoon form to transform that lonely rider, so as to use his ability to directly read other people's memories. If you have the ability to read the memory of Longbread, you can confirm whether the news is true or not." 10 minutes later, as the figure of the Red Earl turned into smoke, he disappeared. The unconscious Longbread was sent back to the room by Wilhelm. Knowing all the truth, Katakori's complexion changed, cloudy and sunny. Thinking of their mother, who often manifested different personalities, I couldn't help feeling chills. Sometimes, when Charlotte Linlin faced some children under the age of 10, she would often show her maternal instincts, as if she had changed into a different person, like an innocent and kind normal woman, which they called the Madonna mode. Sometimes, they are so cruel that they don't recognize their relatives. Then consider the soul fruit ability that miraculously appeared on him, and the strangeness of this ability. It's really chilling. Think carefully. He already understood what Wilhelm meant. The consciousness of the Carmelites may still exist. The current Charlotte Linlin may not be the real Charlotte Linlin. In other words, there are probably two souls residing in the body. Perhaps you're right. Katakuri sighed lightly. Looking at the spirited Wilhelm, he quietly asked, "How long do you have to wait?" He knew that no matter which side he was on, he couldn't stop Wilhelm. Most importantly, Katakuri doesn't feel at all that the Big Mom pirates, without Wilhelm, are able to fight against this younger brother. Even he, who currently possesses the ability of Logia Airfruit, has a fairly strong hockey cultivation base, and his strength has been greatly improved. Under the situation of being ready for battle, whether it can resist Wilhelm's unreasonable ability is another matter. Maybe there is no need to fight, and in a blink of an eye he was thrown into the sea by the opponent before he could react, or he was directly put on the seastone shackles. It can be said that there is no one in this sea who can leave Wilhelm, who has the 10 rings, and the ability to transfer fruits. Under this premise, whether to let this trembling noble son stay in the Charlotte family, or let the Big Mom pirates have an unprecedentedly powerful opponent. It's not such a difficult choice, because it doesn't matter which option you choose. Obviously, it has been unable to stop the ambition of this Wilhelm brother. Instead of this, long-term pain is worse than short-term pain. Maybe the Big Mom pirates after the reform can usher in a different transformation. If you'd like to help me, you can do it now. Wilhelm shrugged. But the consequences and impact are also very serious. It will directly split the Big Mom pirate group, giving Marine and other forces ready to take advantage of. It's better to wait patiently for a while, at most 2 to 3 bursts. Looking at Katakuri, he said meaningfully, "As for how it ends, it depends on God's will." The next day, it wasn't long before Wilhelm returned to Love Island. This island welcomes a special guest. "Ah, little Wilhelm, we meet again." On the port, an elegant and noble blonde beauty with a white hat and a handbag got off a ship of the Big Mom pirates and came to Wilhelm. Fingers, toes, are painted with bright nail polish. Has blonde short curly hair, blue eyes, except for lipstick. Good looking, and imperceptibly revealing a mature charm, people can't help but be attracted by it. Your trembling son with a bounty of 2 billion Baileys. He looked at Wilhelm with pretty eyes, and there was an indescribable splendor in his jewel-like pupils. Your performance really scared me one jump. Who can imagine? At a tea party I was invited to a few years ago. In name, she is one of the emperors of the dark world, the Queen of Joy Street, but in fact she is the highest Cypher Polkpo member under the world government, when she was investigating information about the Big Mom pirates on Cake Island. Accidentally met a silver-haired young man who had just finished training and leaned against a big tree with his eyes closed to rest his mind. That handsome face is so natural, like the darling of nature, the face of the world that people can't bear to look away. At that moment, she, the Queen of Happy Street who has seen countless people, fell for it, and was deeply fascinated by it. "Yo. What a rare visitor. Stussy Aunt, long time no see." "You were welcome." Armand, Smoothie, Strong, Snayman and the others all greeted Stussy. They have all seen the Queen of Happy Street and are no strangers. "Are you here for the tea party? Is it too early?" Wilhelm looked at the Queen of Happy Street who looked young and beautiful, but her real age was definitely a circle older than the third daughter of the Charlotte family, Armand, Custard, and others beside him, and her attitude was neither cold nor cold. Hot. He asked calmly. "And you, the Queen of Happy Street, don't go to Cake Island. What's the point of coming to me?" Of course he knew who Stussy really was. On the surface, it is a flesh and blood business, which is equivalent to the Queen of Happy Street like a prostitute in a brothel. Especially through various methods such as cheating and abduction, whoever tricks some good-looking girls from good families all over the world into the sea, controls them and forces them to sell themselves to receive customers. In addition to the fixed basis, Happy Street, distributed all over the world, they will also be called in the form of flower boats to entertain those big customers who are not short of money and can afford high prices in the vast sea. Including pirates, business travelers, officials, nobles and other 3 religions and 9 streams, all are included. In private, they are members of the highest Cypher Polkpo directly under the world government. They mainly use the large-scale brothel business that spreads all over the sea to earn a lot of money for the world government and collect relevant information. Wilhelm didn't expect that he didn't have time to take care of the other party, but the woman herself came directly to the door. It seems that Tien Yubaju was sent by the world government to gather information. Ah, as cold as ever, little Wilhelm. Stussy spread his hands. There is no disappointment at all on the beautiful pretty face. Looking at Wilhelm's so handsome face that people couldn't take their eyes off, she said with a smile, "As your #1 fan of your trembling prince, he is the only one who came here to meet you." She blinked her big sapphire-like eyes, and said playfully, "And I brought you a gift." As he spoke, he brushed a strand of hair on his forehead lightly. Full of charm, Gu Pan is moving. Yes? Wilhelm smiled faintly. He stretched out his right hand and lightly picked her white chin. Looking at her bright face with golden eyes, it was meaningful. "I don't know if this gift will satisfy me." The cold and arrogant face, the knife-like facial features, the sharp eyes, the voice full of magnetism. That is an unbelievably perfect, peerless face that is enough to fascinate any woman in the world. It made Stussy's heart flutter. The beautiful eyes that were flowing with splendor were a little lost, and they almost collapsed unconsciously. But in the end it was the Queen of Happy Street, she realized it. Not only was he not the slightest bit ashamed, but leaned against Wilhelm's arms. Looking up at his handsome face, with bold and fiery eyes, he licked his lips lightly and said, "Hee, I think you will be satisfied. If it's Wilhelm, my sister is very happy, and will definitely give you an unforgettable coming-of-age ceremony." Standing on tiptoe, Stussy couldn't reach Wilhelm's chin, almost hanging on Wilhelm's body. Bending her head next to her ear, her voice was indescribably charming and seductive. "That was also my sister's precious first time. Then I'm really looking forward to it, in the gorgeous hall. Send Armand, Smoothie and other girls away." Wilhelm, who met with Stussy alone, at Stussy's request. "When I saw Stussy, I ran over and gave him a gift. I was really surprised. This is..." He looked at Stussy with sharp eyes. Weighing the devil fruit in his hand, he looked at the other party full of surprise. Having memorized most of the abilities in the Devil Fruit illustrated book, he naturally recognized the Devil Fruit's abilities. As a loyal dog of celestial dragons under the world government, Stussy was willing to give him such a precious Devil Fruit, which really surprised him. Or, what kind of conspiracy is there? Wearing a short red skirt, Stussy, who looked so touching, sat on the sofa with her fair legs lightly draped. Holding his face in his hands, his sapphire-like eyes looked at Wilhelm opposite him without blinking, and said with a smile, "Paramecia memory fruit. It's a coincidence that I was having a headache about what kind of gift I should give you, little Wilhelm. It happened that when the girl under my command was entertaining a pirate group, I found out that the pirate group had obtained a devil information on fruit." Stussy smiled and said, "That guy was going to be auctioned off, but I cut it off. I didn't expect it to be Paramecia memory fruit." As for how to cut off the beard, she didn't mention much. In short, the pirates in that boat have become dead and sent to Poseidon's belly. "I'm surprised that you were willing to give me such a valuable ability as a gift." "Playing with that memory fruit," Wilhelm said, watching Stussy. "It stands to reason that the world government would definitely want such an ability. Whether it is used to torture prisoners or to brainwash people under their hands, it is simply not very easy to use." But she didn't hand it over to the world government, so she brought this thing over and gave it to him. "It's incredible. It can't be helped, little Wilhelm. You put on a face that is so awesome that you don't pay for your life. People have completely fallen." It seems to be joking, but also seems to be telling the truth, with a pun. She looked at Wilhelm's handsome face that made people obsessed, and she couldn't bear to look away, and murmured in a dazed way, "Little friend, for you, I'm taking a lot of risks." "Oh? Thumbs up." In an instant, the fragrant wind hit. A beautiful figure appeared out of thin air in his arms. Wilhelm picked Stussy's chin lightly, his golden eyes looked directly at the big blue eyes, and the corners of his mouth slightly raised. "Tell me, how big is the risk?" Hee, little Wilhelm's ability is really incredible. Stussy only felt a blur in front of his eyes. It turned out that she had already arrived in Wilhelm's arms. She quickly calmed down and couldn't help but marvel. No wonder the government and naval headquarters are helpless against you. There is a smile on the beautiful pretty face. A look of willingness to let you pick and choose, with no intention of resisting at all. However, everyone has their own secrets, and some secrets are better kept in the heart. An index finger was on Wilhelm's lips. Shaking his head slightly, Stussy blinked his beautiful eyes. Pointing to the Paramecia memory fruit, he pointedly smiled and said, "You can't tell others about its origin." She boldly embraced Wilhelm's neck, and looked straight at those eyes that seemed to be able to see through the soul without flinching, as if joking, but also as if she was very serious. "Anyway, little friend, you have to trust me. No matter what their status or position is, they will never harm you, little Wilhelm." "Oh?" Wilhelm raised an eyebrow. There was a faint smile on his handsome face. Noncommittal to Stussie's words. "Yo, but I really didn't realize that little Wilhelm has really grown up." At this time, Stussie suddenly laughed. She licked her red lips lightly, looking at Wilhelm's handsome face with her beautiful eyes. However, his subordinates were a little indescribably bold and restless. "After all, the beauty is in my arms, and I am not one of those abnormal men." Caressing Stussie's beautiful face, Wilhelm didn't show any embarrassment at all, and admitted it openly. Little tricks didn't stop Stussie either, although he can easily control his own desires. But facing this queen of Happy Street, she didn't do that deliberately. They are not good men and women, so there is no need to pretend. Yes. Biting the fingers that were lightly scratched, the nails were ridiculously sharp. The glib tongue swims like a fish, and Stussie's beautiful face is full of indescribable charm, just like a gift from heaven to a man. "Little Wilhelm, I'm afraid you don't even know how amazing the charm of your words and deeds is." She sat up, staring at the ridiculously perfect silver-haired boy in front of her with blurred eyes, and said with a chuckle, "Believe me, that is really enough to make all women lose themselves and give up everything for you. Force zone." Just like a peerless beauty with an alluring posture, two powerful kings can even start a war at any cost because of her beauty, and the fight will be broken. Wilhelm, the veritable world's most beautiful man, has no less lethal power. Even worse than that. Others don't know, but Stussie, an intelligence agent, knows it very well. From the moment Wilhelm was born, he fascinated the majority of women throughout the confession. Regardless of age, countless women are obsessed with him and have become fans of His Highness Wilhelm. There are even a large number of women blocking the cake castle every day, just to catch a glimpse of him. Later, Big Mom, who was so troubled by it, made a big fuss. A series of bloody iron rules that have changed people's discoloration were introduced, which forcibly extinguished the atmosphere of the Toto Land Kingdom. Especially, as Wilhelm grows older, those women from all over the world are simply crazy, and they don't even want to get married at all. So much so that since then, in the Toto Land Sea area, there has been such an incredible law that all women over the age of 28 must marry. Even her, an agent who thought she had countless people and had undergone rigorous training, fell unconsciously by accident. She already knew about Wilhelm's devil fruit ability and other related information, but she didn't report it at all. It is also because he knows how amazing the opponent's ability is, so even if the world government orders Marine to form an expeditionary fleet to attack the Big Mom pirate group, Stussie can sit back and watch safely. She believed that even if the Big Mom pirates were destroyed, nothing would happen to that man. But I never thought of it. Wilhelm actually quietly recruited a group of strong men such as Shiryu of the Rain. They also took advantage of the trend to kill Sengoku, the Buddha of Admiral of Headquarters, and Aokiji and Kazaru, who were admirals alternates in, and other amazing monsters, and even made the expedition fleet formed by Marine's most elite troops from Grand Line almost wiped out. Her private identity as CPO, Queen of Happy Street, not long ago received an order from the world government. Decisively, I came to the Toto Land Sea area early on the grounds of participating in the tea party held by Big Mom and investigating the information of the Big Mom pirate group. However, he did not hesitate to hide the knowledge from the world government, and privately gave the Paramecia memory fruit that he had snatched from a certain pirate group directly to this noble son of the Genlot family as a meeting gift. And she bowed her head in Wilhelm's ear. "That small lilac is restless, full of indescribable temptations. Tell you a secret, little Wilhelm, although my sister's heart is already dirty, but her body is really clean. This is specially prepared my second gift." "You say that, but it's a very dangerous code." In the magnificent hall, Stussie leaned into Wilhelm's arms. His complexion was rosy, and he was indescribably lazy and charming. "Little enemy, you are really not gentle at all, I almost died." He caressed that unbelievably handsome face obsessively, unwilling to look away at all. Wishing that time could stop, she murmured, "However, even if I die immediately, my sister will have no complaints or regrets. As the CPO, you took such a good opportunity and didn't assassinate me, the target." Picking Stussie's chin lightly, Wilhelm looked at the other party and said meaningfully, "I'm really curious, Stussie Aunt. He deliberately exposed a lot of flaws just now, to give the other party a chance to assassinate him, and wanted to test this woman. As a result, no accidents happened at all. This really surprised him. You know everything. The extremely sharp nails scratched lightly across the neck. It made Stussy's body stiff and gave birth to goosebumps. The jewel-like beautiful eyes widened, staring blankly at Wilhelm. That beautiful face couldn't help turning slightly pale. On the white forehead, cold sweat flowed out. In this world, there are not many secrets that can be kept from me. Touching the smooth and pretty face of the other party, Wilhelm said calmly, "Cha-cha, when I was in Marie Joy's that day, my observation hockey discovered you." That evening, when Marie Joy's was discovered by CPO's trump card agent, he opened up observation hockey and scanned the entire Pangu city without any reservations. He did spot Stussy, he just didn't care. Well, it turned out to be like this. Stussy was stunned, and said helplessly, "I thought I could keep it from you, little Wilhelm, for a little longer." She bit her lip, looked at Wilhelm resignedly, and said frankly, "I am indeed an agent of the CPO, and there is indeed an order from above to assassinate you at all costs. See this ring." She took off her ring and handed it to Wilhelm. There is a special device hidden inside, which can pop out a thin invisible poisonous needle, with a colorless, odorless, very special, as long as you touch it, the deadly toxin that can spread throughout the body with the blood in less than 3 minutes. Oh? Received the ring. After looking at it for a moment, Wilhelm chuckled. Looking at the other party with the same face, with a bit of playfulness. Then why didn't you just use it? Not to mention, is it useful for a natural monster like you with amazing defense and skin toughness that is almost the same as that steel balloon of Big Mom? Stussy shook his head slightly. She looked at Wilhelm sincerely, full of indescribable fascination. What's more, how could I use it on you, little friend? Really? Wilhelm's face was calm, holding the softness, continue to talk. Color word head with a knife. This kind of poisonous needle is really hard to guard against. But even if Stussy can really catch him by surprise and pierce his defense from the weak mouth and other parts while he is careless, it is just courting death. His ability to transfer fruit can completely transfer those toxins out of the body in an instant. There's nothing more to say, just like what I just said, little Wilhelm, you never know how attractive you are, my body and mind have fallen. Stussy shook his head. She was full of ease, stroking Wilhelm's razor-sharp silhouette. With a kind of indescribable poignancy and determination, he smiled as if he was relieved. An agent like me who has been trained as a killing machine since childhood and is not allowed to have himself is destined to end badly. Even if you want to kill me, little Wilhelm, you will have no regrets. Brush. Wilhelm hands. Suddenly there was an extra piece of paper. There are a lot of black characters written on it. Glancing up, Wilhelm chuckled. To Stussy, who was a little surprised. Want to see? Without waiting for Stussy to speak, he has already handed it to the other party. This is. Stussy took the paper, his pupils constricted. Straight away. Because, it's written above. It was the mental activity of her conversation with Wilhelm in the hall a few hours ago. Including that the world government asked her to think of ways to assassinate this thrilling nobleman, at all costs, and even she gave Paramisha memory fruit as a gift to the other party without telling the world government, including her plan to give her, first time, all kinds of gifts. For a while, some couldn't believe it. Let's just trust you. Caressing Stussy's delicate pretty face, he bowed his head and tapped lightly on that touch of touching redness. He hooked the delicate chin of the Queen of Happy Street, and stared sharply at those sapphire eyes. So, from today on, you will be my private property. Stussy had already made full psychological preparations for the possibility of being killed or even tortured. On that beautiful face, it was like 100 flowers blooming, and the brows were beaming with joy. What a domineering little man, but he is very happy to be your private property, Stussy chuckled softly, relieved. She never thought of it. The other party still has such means. But in this way, it proved his loyalty in disguise. Moreover, he has also been recognized by this impeccable noble son of the Charlotte family, becoming a real, one of his own, nothing could be better. Blinking his watery eyes, he looked at the other party curiously. Speaking of which, is really incredible, little Wilhelm. Your subordinates even have such means. Is it devil fruit ability or is it similar to Red Earl Redfield's observation hockey that can listen to other people's voices? It's just using the ability of the phantom beast species raccoon form snatched from the world government to become the Red Earl. Wilhelm didn't hide it. Although the strength is greatly reduced, in the end it also possesses the innate special observation hockey, which can play some unexpected roles. I see. Stussy suddenly realized and was amazed. Unbelievable ability. Swipe. In an instant. A cylinder-like devil fruit with whirlpool-like patterns appeared in front of Stussy. Shouldn't you be demon fruit power? This is a return gift for you. Wilhelm smiled faintly, and handed it to Stussy. Paramecia vortex fruit, I think it should be very suitable for you. Didn't think about it at all. Stussy opened his mouth without hesitation and took a light bite, suppressing the discomfort that is unique to devil fruit. She stared obsessively at Wilhelm's handsome face, which she never tires of, and gradually became bold and fiery. Little Wilhelm. Huh. Stussy aunt. What did you just say? I didn't hear clearly. Little, master, people, I do not know how long it has been. Under Stussy's service, Wilhelm, who had finished dressing, returned to his usual appearance as a noble young man. He was dressed in red baixiang, which was extremely gorgeous, and the casual clothes embroidered with hexagonal plum patterns perfectly set off his tall and straight figure, so perfect that Stussy couldn't bear to blink. His pretty eyes were watery. I'll give this to you. There was a flash of light in his hand. On Wilhelm's palm, there was an extra delicate ring. Throw it to Stussy. Ah, my little master, is this a token of love? Catching the ring, Stussy couldn't put it down, and asked expectantly. The ring itself is nothing, although it is quite delicate and beautiful, but it is not so extraordinary. As the queen of Happy Street, she has countless suitors on weekdays. There are many celebrities, business travelers, and even high-ranking officials. All kinds of rare treasures have long been familiar. Through the brothel business, he is in charge of a huge wealth that is incomparably rich, even though it belongs to the world government. But even if it's just a little bit deducted from the funds flowing through her hands, it can make her extremely rich. What kind of treasures have you never seen? This is my ability to transfer fruit. I transferred that demon, in the Paramecia disguise fruit to the ring, and created the disguise ring, which is perfect for an agent like you. Wilhelm shrugged and continued. Considering the effect of Paramecia disguise fruit that can directly change the appearance of others, he gave up the plan to let Stussy eat the disguise fruit directly. Instead, he gave the other party the not-so-weak Paramecia vortex fruit. Coupled with this ring that hosts the ability of Paramecia Yurong fruit, it is not too perfect for her, a CPO agent. Oh? Transferring fruit, Mr. Wilhelm, your ability is really incredible. Stussy's beautiful eyes shrank, a little surprised and inexplicable. Can even devil fruit's ability be transferred? Looking at the ring in my hand, I always feel a little absurd, a fantasy. Can dead things, like uneaten devil fruits, hold abilities? It's unbelievable. So, the ability of Katakori's Paramecia Nuo fruit should be transferred out like this, and replaced with the ability of Logia air fruit. She looked at Wilhelm in a daze, full of amazement. It's not all. A living ability user cannot be deprived of his ability, he must be allowed to fake death once. Wilhelm shrugged. Regarding this behavior that has been tantamount to betraying the world government, following him wholeheartedly, the Queen of Happy Street, who is equivalent to one of her own, has no intention of concealing. The process is a bit complicated, so I won't tell you in detail. If you have a chance, you see you there. It turned out to be like this. Stussy nodded slightly, but didn't ask any further questions. She was already very satisfied to be favored by this handsome, flawless little man who seemed to exude an innate nobility from his bones, and to be recognized by the other party. The world government asked me to find a way to find out, little Wilhelm, the secret of why you can master the Paramecia door fruit ability when you have other abilities. She looked at the rings on Wilhelm's hands, her gem-like eyes flashed, and she smiled. It seems that the secret is the rings on your hands. Good, Wilhelm nodded, graciously acknowledging. Seeing Stussy put on the ring curiously, looking at him eagerly, he said directly, as a senior agent of the CPO, even if you haven't mastered the return of life, you should know this special mystery, right? Try to inject consciousness into it, communicate with the demon inside, and you can activate it. Is that so? Out of curiosity, he put on the ring. As Stussy said, according to the method Wilhelm said, he tried to use his consciousness to communicate with the demon ring. If life is returned, I can barely master it, but I'm not very grand master. She is naturally clear about the return of life. He has even mastered the mysteries of life return, but he is not quite a grand master. Observation hockey and armament hockey do not think they are weak, plus they have already mastered the 6 styles of Grand Master, roughly equivalent to the elite vice admiral level of naval headquarters. To be honest, although she is the Queen of Joy Street, and one of the giants in the dark world, she is very beautiful in the eyes of outsiders, but her status in the CPO is not too high. However, I thought of the return gift from the little master, who made me obsessed to the bone, Paramecia vortex fruit. After Wilhelm's brief introduction, Stussy has a general understanding of how powerful the new ability he has acquired, although he has not yet started to really verify it, and he has great confidence all of a sudden. Next, as long as she masters the ability of Paramecia vortex fruit, her strength will definitely be greatly improved. When the time comes, your position in the CPO can also go to the next level. Swipe, in an instant. A silky strange smoke circulated. Stussy's whole body was covered and changed at a speed visible to the naked eye. In a blink of an eye, disappears with the smoke. Instead, there was a beautiful woman with a completely different figure and appearance. Looking at his changed figure. From his bag, he took out a makeup mirror no bigger than a palm, and observed his completely different face. Ah, it's surprisingly easy to use. Stussy was overjoyed. Looking at Wilhelm, he said with joy, "Thank you, my dear little master." But the flaws are not without. Once it touches the seawater, the ability of the disguise fruit will be invalidated, and then it will be worn out. Wilhelm smiled lightly. However, for an agent like you who often needs to perform some special tasks, I think it is enough. Really? Stussy grinned and nodded. At the next moment, she had a thought. Brush. The silky mist lingered. Once again, she transformed into a tall, cold-faced snake-headed beauty. The whole person is like a beautiful snake, wrapped around Wilhelm's body. So, Brother Wilhelm, do you like me now? Even the voice has changed. In the cold, with an indescribable charm. Looking at Armande in front of him, the corners of Wilhelm's mouth twitched. He knocked on Stussy's smooth forehead angrily. Stop making trouble, lest you wait for Sister Armande and the others to come over. I'm afraid I can't help but want to tear you apart. Hee, I'm afraid they are jealous of me. The smoke filled the air, and Stussy, who had returned to her original shape, had a beautiful figure and a charming smile. Hanging boldly on Wilhelm's body, blinking his big sapphire eyes, he said with a smile, "After all, I spent a whole wonderful morning with little Wilhelm." Stussy aunt, you've kept it a secret. Unexpectedly, the dignified Queen of Happy Street is actually a running dog of world government. I've always thought that even if a dark world giant like you has any connection with the world government, it's just a cooperative relationship of mutual use. I was really shocked. I didn't expect your real identity to be the CPO directly under celestial dragons. In the gorgeous living room, Armand, Yasho, Custard, Smoothie, Sneyman and other members of the Charlotte family filed in, looking at Stussy there, with unkind eyes and some indescribable air. If it weren't for the use of Pado's ability to turn into the Red Earl in the form of a raccoon, and the observation hockey who listens to his heart, he would have wished to tear him apart when he saw that the other party was so devoted to his brother Wilhelm. It's just that seeing the other party being so close to his beloved younger brother made him inexplicably uncomfortable. I'm sorry. Everyone was their master before. Stussy hugged Wilhelm's arm, and said with a smile, now, he belongs to little Wilhelm, and as one of his own, woolen cloth. HMPH, if Wilhelm didn't value you. Seeing Stussy so close to Wilhelm made Jippy jump. With electric lights flashing all over his body, he stared at Stussy and said angrily, I've already remembered that God's judgment will kill you. Ah, it seems to be consistent with what the world government guessed. Your ability is the same as Katakuri, and you are also a rare Logia. Stussy let go of Wilhelm, not provocatively. Wiping a strand of hair on his forehead, he said with a smile, if I want to be on the side of the world government, I'm afraid that coming to the waters of Toto Land this time is a self-inflicted trap. Of course she was aware of Wilhelm's lethal power over women. If it weren't for being unable to overcome the psychological barrier, these daughters of the Charlotte family would have been eager to recommend themselves as pillow mats and wipe out Wilhelm's younger brother. If it were her, she wouldn't be able to control so much. That kind of impeccable and perfect facial features, like the darling of the heavens, handsome to the ultimate face, coupled with that innate nobility. This trembling nobleman is too attractive for women. Otherwise, she, the Queen of Happy Street, one of the majestic emperors of the dark world, would not be able to be fascinated by the other party just by seeing her a few times. As an agent of the CPO, the loyal dog of the celestial dragons, he does not hesitate to betray the world government, but also wants to win the favor of the other party and win his favor. Years ago. At dusk, the sun sets. On Cake Island, the quiet surroundings of the Forest of Temptation. An unbelievably handsome silver-haired boy, leaning against a big tree and taking a rest with his eyes closed, a ray of sunlight shining on his body, is so perfect and holy. It was a beautiful scene. engraved firmly in Stussie's mind. She will never forget it, and it is still fresh in her memory. Let it immerse itself in it, unable to extricate itself. I once hoped that time could stop at that moment. It can make her this ugly duckling, who is ashamed and dare not come forward to disturb her hide in the corner and enjoy it all the time. You CPO know a lot. Castard was slightly sarcastic. The cute doll's face is full of anger. The bottom of my heart was even more inexplicably sour. If it wasn't for not wanting to disobey Wilhelm's will, he was afraid of causing the younger brother's displeasure. When she heard Smoothie say that Stussie is a member of the CPO under the world government, she couldn't help but want to break in and cut this hateful woman. But the thought of my beloved brother Wilhelm spending the whole morning with the Queen of Joy Street. I was so angry that my teeth itched, and I was extremely upset. However, you don't have to be so hostile to me, Armand, Custard, and little Smoothie, hee. Stussie was full of smiles, full of calmness. She smiled and said, I still have self-knowledge. A perfect man like little Wilhelm is destined not to belong to any woman alone. To be one of them, sister, I am already very satisfied. Can win the favor and recognition of Wilhelm. This has indeed far exceeded her expectations. After all, she knows her identity very well. A senior agent who was born in the CPO and is a loyal dog of the Celestial Dragons, I am afraid that no force will easily trust him, let alone Wilhelm. Unexpectedly, the ability of the dog fruit, phantom beast species, and raccoon form is actually so useful. Although it was unavoidable to be eavesdropped on the secrets of his heart, he proved his sincerity to Wilhelm in a disguised form, and became the other party's private property, as he wished. It surprised and delighted her. We are all our own people, so there is no need to be so tense. Wilhelm felt helpless. Squeeze Castard's puffy baby face and Smoothie's pretty face with a little baby fat. Since Wilhelm you say so, well. The trace of annoyance dissipated in an instant, and Custard was filled with joy. Even the angry Smoothie couldn't help but relax, and didn't say anything else. The Charlotte family sisters, including the third daughter Armand, the fourth daughter Yasho, and the 16th daughter Sneyman, all calmed down, the hostility in their eyes dissipated, and they shrugged indifferently. Stussie watched all this with a smile. He has already understood the unconcealable thoughts of these Charlotte family sisters. I comforted a few agitated and upset Charlotte family sisters. Wilhelm looked at Stussie, smiled and said, go and verify your ability first. Brush. The next moment. The ability to transfer fruit activates. The few people present disappeared in an instant. Appeared on the huge training ground of the Island of Love. And Shiryu of the Rain, Miyamoto Musashi, Swordsman Ryoma and others are all practicing assiduously there, they are there to learn sword skills. That is. Looking at the beach hundreds of meters away, Shiryu of the Rain, whose whole body is shining with gold, has an incomparably swift figure. Stussie couldn't help constricting his pupils, a little shocked. As a member of the top-secret cipher Polkpo directly under the world government, of course she knows Shiryu Rain. The former warden of Impel Down, and now a powerful cadre in the Big Mom Pirates, is said to have teamed up with several other powerhouses to suppress Aokiji, the admiral candidate, thus reversing the high-end battle between the two sides in one fell swoop. The balance of combat power. Didn't it mean that his ability is Momo Fruit? That guy Shiryu envied Kazaru's ability of Logia Sparkling Fruit, and asked Wilhelm to change his ability. But I have to say, Sparkling Fruit's ability is really suitable for him. Woohoo Island of Love. On the beach where civilians are forbidden to set foot. Under the watchful eyes of Smoothie, Cass, Tad and others. Stussie touched the ground lightly with his right hand. In a split second. Sandy beaches within a radius of tens of meters. At a speed visible to the naked eye, it trembled suddenly. Woo. The next moment, countless wind and sand agitated. It turned into a huge sandstorm in an instant, making people unable to open their eyes. Armand, Castard, Sneyman and others responded in a timely manner. The first time they stormed out one after another. Even Shiryu Amami, Musashi Miyamoto, and others who were practicing far away and did not come to disturb them, were inevitably attracted and looked over subconsciously. Some surprised inexplicable. Armand's pupils shrank. What an amazing ability. Ah, can even sandstorms be controlled? Strawn wondered. After all, the ability of Paramisha Uzumaki fruit is the power to turn everything into Uzumaki and manipulate it. Wilhelm shrugged. Whether it's a vortex current, a soaring current, or even natural phenomena such as tornadoes and sandstorms, in a sense, they are all inseparable from Uzumaki, the principle is similar. With Stussy's strength, it is not surprising that he can do this. Devil Fruit's abilities. What kind of height can be achieved is different from person to person. He was aware of the potential of Paramecia Vortex Fruit from the beginning. Seeing that Parasparrow is the eldest son of the Charlotte family, he generously gave this whirlpool fruit to him. But since the guy Parasparrow didn't like it, he simply used it to train his own people. The left and right Stussy itself can match the strength of Naval Headquarters Elite Vice Admiral, and it is not too weak. Coupled with the ability of this Vortex Fruit, with a little training, her strength will definitely rise to a higher level in time, and it will not be a problem to surpass Cracker and others. As for whether it can be developed to awakening, it depends on Stussy himself. But even if there is no awakening, the ability of the Whirlpool Fruit is strong enough. Wilhelm, when you say that, I suddenly feel that Brother Peros has missed a very amazing ability. Smoothie sneered. Just watching Stussy create a sandstorm with ease. There is no doubt that Paramecia Whirlpool Fruit is a very amazing ability. She felt that she might have underestimated the value of the Whirlpool Fruit before. Cause of lack of greed. Armin's younger sister, the fourth daughter Yasho, breathed out the smoke. But Brother Wilhelm, the Paramecia Metal Fruit you hunted from Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, Steel Fist, Chrisen is strong enough for him. In fact, Wilhelm took back the Paramecia Vortex Fruit and gave the Paramecia Metal Fruit to the other party, not entirely because he was disappointed with Parasparrow. The most important thing is that the ability of Paramecia Metal Fruit and Paramecia Licking Fruit is similar, and they both belong to the creation category in Paramecia's ability. Some experience and moves can be completely copied from the past. You don't need to spend so much effort to re-explore and develop. You only need to spend some time to master the new ability proficiently. It will not have much impact on Parasparrow's strength. On the contrary, it can further enhance its combat effectiveness in the shortest possible time. The Steel Fist, Chrisen Vice Admiral was also unlucky. Even in terms of his physical skills, hockey, etc., he was not outstanding among many Naval Headquarters Vice Admirals. Just relying on Paramecia Metal Fruit's ability to directly manufacture and manipulate metal is enough to make his strength among the top among Naval Headquarters Vice Admirals, more than half of the elite Vice Admirals, comparable to Parasparrow, Cracker and other generals. I happened to meet Smoothie, who is a Logia Thunderfruit capable user. In terms of ability, he was completely restrained by nature. Because metal conducts electricity, it cannot prevent lightning damage at all. First of all, he was severely injured by Lei Ying's terrifying super-wide range attack. Caught off guard, Smoothie, who was as fast as lightning and hard to guard against, directly gave him a 200 million volt electric shock. He was knocked down and captured alive. Woo-hoo-hoo. Huge dust storm, a black mass. Countless gravels were spinning and rubbing crazily there. A violent wind pressure blew up, and under Stussy's somewhat unskilled manipulation, it swept towards the sea. Clatter. The waves on the sea surface were surging and boiling. A large amount of seawater was pumped to high altitude, forming a dragon sucking water. Eventually, the huge dust storm got out of control. Rushed to the distance. Ah, little Wilhelm. Watching this astonishing scene, Stussy was pleasantly surprised. It's really a great ability. I have to say that the return gift from Wilhelm was simply amazing. The continuously gushing power made her so excited that she couldn't help herself. In the blink of an eye, Stussy couldn't wait again. The right hand lightly touches again as a large amount of sand disappears, leaving some bare ground. This time, instead of generating sandstorms, boom. The ground within a radius of tens of meters trembled there. As if it had life, it began to scroll continuously there. Transformed into Uzumaki, who can devour everything. Makes the scalp tingle. And Stussy himself. Already using moonwalk without hesitation, stepping on the atmosphere to stay in the air. Looking at the astonishing changes below, she beamed with joy. This ability is really too powerful. Okay, stop now. I'll send you to the sea for an interview next time. Wilhelm's figure suddenly appeared beside her. Stepping on the atmosphere, he pointed to the sea in the distance. Okay. Stussy landed. Originally, the earth, which was rolling like Uzumaki, suddenly stopped. The next moment, she was directly used by Wilhelm for her ability to transfer fruit. It was thrown into the sea hundreds of meters away. Stussy, who suddenly appeared there, felt a blur in front of his eyes. But he reacted quickly without being too flustered. Vortex. She stepped on the atmosphere and landed on the sea. With a slight bow, his right hand directly touched the seawater. Clatter, clatter, the water is raging. The vast sea suddenly rolled up. It continued to expand, and soon turned into a huge uzumaki, devouring everything crazily there. Sky Current witnessed this scene. Stepping on Stussy, who was stuck in the air, touched the sea again. The next moment, clatter. A huge column of water rose into the sky, spinning wildly there, under her less skilled manipulation. Facing the beach hundreds of meters away from Wilhelm and the others, the wolf threw it up. Boom. The huge water column spun, like a huge spear, carrying an unparalleled impact force, and pierced through the ground fiercely. Water splashes, huge waves are raging, and smoke and dust fill the air. When the water receded, a shocking giant pit was left there. Tisk tisk. The power is quite amazing. The figure of Stussy, instantly transferred back to the shore by Wilhelm. When she came back to her senses, she was a little indescribably happy. That's great, little Wilhelm, thank you. Having fully realized the power of the vortex fruit, Stussy was full of excitement and joy. Excited, she rushed straight to Wilhelm beside her. Don't be so excited. The fragrant wind hits. He was held down by Wilhelm lightly, and refused the other party's throwing arms. And Stussy, who was a little disappointed, did not give up any chance to take advantage of the aristocratic son of the Charlotte family, and settled for the next best thing, and embraced Wilhelm's arm. Hey, let go of Master Wilhelm. Damn it, Stussy aunt, leave Wilhelm big brother. You old woman. Originally practicing together in the distance, Hancock, Garrett, Prim, Yamato and other women who were attracted by the huge movement, could not help but have their eyelids twitch. One by one was exasperated and indignant. Especially Yamato and Hancock, who didn't know Stussy, couldn't help gnashing their teeth. A strange woman who had never seen before dared to hug the white moonlight in their hearts so intimately. It's not Sister Smoothie, my lord, Sister Castard, my lord. Simply abhorrent and intolerable. Ah, do you like little Wilhelm too? Stussy turned around with a smile. But, impertinent little girl, who do you call an old woman? Looking at Hancock, who is the leader, who is so beautiful and charming, people can't help but see a bright light. Her sapphire-like eyes reveal a rather dangerous murderous look. I can't pretend that I didn't hear that. Age, but a woman's taboo. Especially, for Stussy, who just won Wilhelm's favor. Hancock undoubtedly poured a bucket of cold water on her who was full of joy. The veins on her forehead almost popped out. Some gritted their teeth. Okay. Stop making trouble. Yamato, Hancock, Garrett, Prim. 4 little ghosts whose mental age is still a little girl, but whose appearance is completely the same as that of an adult. All of them had bad eyes, pouted their mouths and stared at the woman in front of them who stole their master Wilhelm, big brother. At the same time, Stussy also glared at Hancock who was too beautiful and exuded amazing charm invisibly, which made her feel a little ashamed of herself. Because of Wilhelm's opening, he didn't care about the other party's faux pas, just now. She looked at Garrett and Prim, who were faintly familiar to her, in surprise. You too, shouldn't it be Jamet and Prim? Garrett's extremely fair skin, her golden pupils, and her outline vaguely similar to when she was young are very easy to recognize. As for Prim, the wheat-colored complexion, and the extremely eye-catching octopus legs as a half-octopus mermaid. As an agent of the CPO, it is naturally impossible for Stussy to be completely ignorant of the general information about the members of Shaw's Lot family. At least, she has seen the 18th daughter Garrett in the 20th Prim of the Charlotte family. The handsome and somewhat arrogant Garrett turned her head away angrily. HMPH, the group didn't tell you. Damn Stussy aunt, who actually took advantage of Wilhelm big brother. Wearing a suspender dress, the sexy and touching Prim also clenched her pink fist, a little angrily. Prim doesn't like you anymore. The 2 little girls, who are obviously adults in appearance, are full of childish character, innocent and innocent, which makes people laugh and cry. They were ripened for 10 years by my order to use Paramesh's ability to ripen fruit, which is equivalent to directly growing 10 years old. Wilhelm stroked the heads of the 2 younger sisters, Garrett and Prim, and comforted the 2 girls, Yamato and Hancock, and explained with a light smile. Although the body is an adult, the mental age has nothing to do with the original variety. It turned out to be like this. Stussy suddenly realized, looked at Garrett and Prim with a light smile and said, no wonder I always think you 2 look familiar. Garrett and Prim both hummed and turned away, unwilling to pay attention to Stussy. They are both still angry. Hey, you guys can go to training. Wilhelm was a little dumbfounded. Send back a few reluctant little girls directly. Armand, Smoothie, Castard and other women also came over one after another. Thinking of something, Wilhelm asked Stussy directly, By the way, Stussy Ant, you should have some general information about the naval headquarters inside the world government, right? Nature. Stussy nodded. I don't know which aspect you mean, little Wilhelm. In the world government or in the marine, are there any users with the ape fruit? Wilhelm asked directly. Most of the agents in the CP. I know people with devil fruit ability. There is a person who has the ability of ape fruit in gorilla form, and his strength is not bad. She recalled there for a moment, and said, of course, as for the abilities of those ace agents, I'm not very clear. In addition, the base chief of the 135 branch in the first half of the Grand Line, Naval Headquarters Commodore, Chimpanzee, Fox, is the ability user in the form of the ape fruit and baboon. Not long ago, he was transferred by Naval Headquarters to the expedition fleet preparing to attack the Big Mom pirates. As he said that, Stussy looked at Wilhelm, smiled lightly and said, in Naval Headquarters, the life card of every officer above the general rank is included. His life card shows that he is still alive, and whether he has returned to Naval Headquarters. I think he was captured by you, right? She was a little curious. I don't understand what the other party wants to do with the ability user of the Zone Ape fruit. But Wilhelm didn't take the initiative to speak up, and Stussy wisely didn't ask. What you should know, you will know sooner or later, and what you shouldn't know, it's best not to know. This is how she, a CPO agent, survives in the world government. Almost forgot, Wilhelm. Patting his head, Armand said directly to Wilhelm with some helplessness. The ability users among the marine captives have already undergone rigorous investigation and statistics, and there should be no fish that slipped through the net. She is the cadre mainly in charge of these things. In the past few days, I have been busy preparing for Wilhelm to take over the Starfleet, and summoned shipwrights to renovate the 30 warships taken from Marine as soon as possible, and did not focus on those Marine prisoners. It's just for people to watch strictly. Because there is nothing worth paying attention to on the list of Devil Fruit's abilities. So she didn't care much. Ape fruit, gorilla form? Wilhelm chuckled. He didn't intend to hand over those ability users among Marine's captives to Marine. It's just that there are really too many things these days, and I haven't had time to take care of them. Little Wilhelm, if you want his ability, I can provide you with information about this guy. Anyway, I can't get along with that guy, Stussy said directly. Okay, but let's wait until after the tea party. Wilhelm nodded. With Stussy as the internal response. The ability of the ape fruit and gorilla form is basically equivalent to half of the one in hand. After all, it's not the ace agent in the CPO, so I believe it won't be difficult to hunt by then. Sister Armand, it's better to hit the sun than choose the day. While it's still early, then bring me all these ability users. Looking at the sky, he directly ordered to Armand. After recovering those abilities, it's time to try it. These days, the experiment of Aokiji made him a little disappointed. Although he can already speak, his IQ is too low. It is equivalent to being taller than the jailer beast of Impel Down, which is far below his expectations. He wants to take this opportunity to verify whether the ability of the primate zone devil fruit has considerable wisdom. He wouldn't mind hunting the ape fruit gorilla form ability in CP0 if it worked out well. After all, the corpses of strong men like Aokiji and Kizaru can't just be wasted like this. Okay, I'll arrange it right away. Armand nodded solemnly. Not long. She ordered to go down. Tens of thousands of marine captives. A dozen or so ability users were screened out. Straight to this beach. Wilhelm had no intention of avoiding Stussy at all. In her surprised and inexplicable eyes, she lightly dealt with these marine captives, and recovered these devil fruit abilities. 8 Paramecia, 5 Zone. Not really that powerful devil fruit. Still, talk is better than nothing. This is enough to prove how rare devil fruit's ability is in the vast and endless sea. In the huge marine, the elites drawn from various departments of the Grand Line are undoubtedly the real elites. But the proportion of demon fruit power inside is pitifully small. Brush. Except that only one banana-shaped devil fruit was left. Without hesitation, Wilhelm transferred all the other devil fruits to the treasure house. Is this the ability of the Zone Ape fruit baboon form? Looking at the twin banana-shaped, black-gray devil fruit with strange patterns in Wilhelm's hand. Except for the confused Stussy, members of the Charlotte family, such as Smoothie and Sneyman, all have some understanding in their hearts. I roughly guessed what Wilhelm wanted to do. Can't help but look forward to it. Inside the underground cell of Love Island, the huge space is not as dark as imagined. In an instant, Wilhelm brought Smoothie, Armand, Castard, Stussy and other girls here. As that? Aokiji? Stussie's pupils shrank sharply. Because, in a nearby cell, a figure bound there by chains was Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Aokiji. Didn't the life card already burn into ashes? Armand held a lady's cigarette in his mouth, puffed out the smoke and said, "Ah, it's my first time here too." Looking around, his eyes fixed on Aokiji, and he was full of surprise. "Although you have already heard about it, Wilhelm, I was really shocked when I saw it with my own eyes." All in all, his body is Aokiji, but not the real Aokiji. Smoothie shrugged. Body? Stussie was confused. Zone's devil fruit ability is different from the devil fruit abilities of other departments. It has consciousness, Sneyman said with a smile. "Do you understand, Stussie Ant?" Could it be? Stussie's eyes narrowed sharply, and cold sweat broke out. Looking at him in disbelief, he bared his teeth and stared at him. His eyes were full of ferociousness. He didn't look like a normal person's Aokiji at all. She was not stupid, and she knew that even dead things like rings in Wilhelm could allow devil fruit to reside in them. Combined with Snarman's weirdness, he said that Zone devil fruit has consciousness. Then it makes sense to resurrect the corpse. Well, it's just an experimental product, but it's a bit of a failure. Wilhelm nodded. Let it dry for now, and if the next experiment goes well, maybe I'll consider recycling flowers. So that's how it was said. Stussie suddenly realized something, and asked incredulously. Except for Shiryu and Gecko Moria who opened the rain, did those strong men who suddenly appeared under your command come from this way? Those strong folks, the world government is not without attention. Powerhouses like Miyamoto Musashi and swordsman Ryoma, it is logically impossible for them to be unknown. In the devil fruit of the phantom beast species, the demons that reside in it have wisdom no less than that of humans. Wilhelm didn't deny it either, and explained. They are all resurrected corpses with the power of phantom beasts. Then, the swordmaster under your hand who claims to be the descendant of the swordmaster Longma, who has the same name as his ancestor, could it really be? What did Stussie think of? A little shocked and inexplicable. Well, that Moria guy stole the body of the swordsman Ryoma from Wanokuni, and it's cheap for us. The corpse of such a strong person only needs to use the ability of Paramecia healing fruit to restore it, and then it will be able to regain its vitality, have an extremely powerful physique, and inherit the memory in its brain, and simultaneously obtain its hockey inheritance. There are also gymnastics, swordsmanship, etc. Although he can't fully inherit his original strength, he will soon be able to rely on his formidable physical fitness, as well as the experience and memory in his mind, to possess quite astonishing combat effectiveness. Tisk tisk, it's unbelievable. Stussie's face was full of disbelief. This time, Stussie Ant, if you return to the world government, help me secretly investigate whether the bodies of Rox and One Piece Roger have been destroyed. Wilhelm ordered there. There are also the corpses of monster-level powerhouses from other eras, such as those Marine Admiral cemeteries in the past. Even if there are not so many phantom beasts with the devil fruit ability to resurrect these former powerhouses. But even with other zone abilities, it can be a good combat power. Okay, no problem. Stussie took a deep breath and cheered up a little. In this way, she really saw that under the leadership of Wilhelm, the Big Mom pirates have the hope of surpassing the world government that has ruled the sea for hundreds of years and has a profound heritage. Although this time, I was really dazzled by this unbelievably handsome little man, and I even did not hesitate to betray the world government and put myself in danger, but maybe I hit by mistake, I really don't care. Deficit. This man who haunts her dreams may really have the possibility of ascending to the throne of King of the World. Looking at Wilhelm's handsome and stalwart figure, Stussie's eyes became more and more fiery, and he licked his red lips with a clever tongue. Little Wilhelm, I find more and more that you are really a shining treasure. That's natural. Wilhelm is the man destined to be on top of the world. It's up to you to say. Armand, Smoothie, Custard and other women on the side spoke there one after another. They all firmly believed that their brother Wilhelm would be able to ascend to the throne of the King of the World sooner or later. Brush. Paluzolino's frozen body was moved out by Wilhelm. In an instant, the ice cubes fell apart. Tisk tisk, Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral Kizaru, which used to be so beautiful, is really miserable. Looking at the corpse that was so pale, bruised, even the left arm was lost. Stussie sighed a little. Not only is Devil Fruit's ability deprived, even the corpse is not peaceful. Not bad. A homie soldier, photographed by Wilhelm. At the cost of its soul power, the recovery ability of Paramecia's healing fruit in the 10 rings was activated. The radiance of incomparable holiness spills out. In a blink of an eye, Armand, Castard, Smoothie, Stussy and other women watched. Not only the injuries on Kizaru's body, but even the broken arm were directly restored to Kizaru. Kanglangling, a cold light flashed. Gorgeous and incomparable natural teeth out of sheath, captivating yellow. Stussy and others couldn't help trembling. The devil fruit that hosts the form ability of the ape fruit, the baboon, is pierced by the gorgeous blade. Arrested on Kizaru's revived corpse. Ability transfer. Wilhelm's eyes froze. In an instant, the ability of Paramecia to transfer fruit was activated. Swipe. A faint blue light shone from Paluzolino's body. For the first time, Stussy, Armand, Karstad and other women who had the opportunity to witness Wilhelm's resurrection of the corpses of those strong men, all stared at Kizaru's corpse, observing the changes in the other party, and did not want to miss it. Plop, plop. A faint heartbeat gradually spread out, getting louder and louder. His complexion gradually became ruddy. Suddenly, he opened his eyes. Boom. Kizaru's already obscene face. This moment became more and more wretched, grinning there. At a speed visible to the naked eye, the whole person grew thick black fur and turned into a black-gray baboon. But before he could struggle to get up, he was trampled on by Wilhelm mercilessly. Wake up and talk to your master again. Hoo-hoo, take it, take it. Half an hour later. The beach is full of bumps, messy, and full of battle marks. The baboon, covered in black animal hair, shivered and knelt there, begging for mercy with a mournful face. I'm really convinced. Stop beating me, master. With a bruised nose and a swollen face, it was in such a state of embarrassment that Wilhelm gave it a hard lesson and completely subdued it. But whether it's Stussy, Smoothie and others, or the needed Shiryu of the Rain and others, they have all seen its amazing learning ability. It's amazing. Looking at this baboon, with burning eyes, Shiryu of the Rain bit his cigar and laughed lightly. Primate animals, the wisdom is really not comparable to other beasts. Possessing a human brain and integrating human memory. Maybe IQ may not be so high, but the general performance is almost the same as that of human beings. The combat awareness and learning ability alone, the potential is far higher than the previous, Aokiji. Smoothie smiled and nodded. I want to train and guide a little bit. I believe that I can gradually digest the treasure left by that body and become a good fighting force. In a short period of time, after almost digesting the memories in my mind. From a beast that can only use brute force, to relying on strong physical fitness and the memory and experience in his mind, he directly uses advanced physical skills such as 6 styles and even 2-color hockey, a guy with considerable combat effectiveness. Although whether it is Lushi or hockey, they are quite rough and not very proficient, but their exaggerated learning ability is fully revealed. It's almost comparable to the feathered serpent Kuer and the swordsman Ryoma who were resurrected with the phantom beast's ability back then. Remember, you are not the real Kizaru, don't be affected by his memory, I created you. Wilhelm looked down at it, and said lightly, from today, you can be called Ape Waste. For the performance of the ape demon, he has personally verified it, and he is quite satisfied from the bottom of his heart. Although it is impossible to expect it to really have the potential of a monster like feathered serpent Kuer and swordsman Ryoma. But as long as he is given a little guidance and gradually taps out his potential, or the treasure, left by Kizaru, his strength will not disappoint him. If you save a lot of energy, you can get a capable subordinate with good strength and amazing potential. Yes. Master. The ape demon who was full of fear for this master hurriedly responded. It changed at a speed visible to the naked eye, and changed back to Kizaru. Call me Lord Wilhelm. Yes, Master Wilhelm. The ape demon scratched his ears and cheeks, and responded respectfully. Come with me to Dr. Hawkins, and I'll ask him to adjust your figure and appearance. Wilhelm looked at that wretched face, a little tired. Moreover, it is not convenient for it to show off in the face of Paluzolino, the naval headquarters vice admiral. The voice fell. He nodded towards Smoothie, Castard, Shiryu of the Rain and others. In an instant, the remote demon disappeared on the beach. In an extremely huge underground experiment base full of sci-fi feel. Wilhelm brought the ape demon here directly. A large number of Homies-type robots are busy there performing their duties. Master Wilhelm, why do you come to me when you are free? See Wilhelm pop up. Dr. Hawkins, who was wearing a white coat and was instructing the Homies robot to do things, walked over. Looking at the curious Kizaru, with his hands curled up like a monkey looking around, he was a little surprised. Could it be that you have found another kind of phantom beast ability? He didn't know what to say anymore. Zone's phantom beast ability is said to be rarer than Logia. For a general force, it would be considered lucky to have an ability user with the ability of a phantom beast. But Wilhelm, relying on his astonishing luck and his terrifying ability to transfer fruits, has obtained new phantom beast abilities one after another. No, it's just the ability of the ape fruit baboon form, it's an ordinary zone. There is no intention to hide it, Wilhelm explained. Although it is not as good as the fruit of everyone, the performance is relatively good. It seems that the demonic consciousness, lodged in the zone ability of primates, does have a higher learning ability than ordinary zone abilities. Dr. Hawkins touched his chin and chuckled lightly. Wilhelm once told him about the conjecture about the primate zone devil fruit's ability. Theoretically speaking, relying on the extremely high learning ability, combined with the human brain and human memory, it is true that they can evolve intelligence not weaker than normal humans. Change his appearance, otherwise it will be troublesome to be separated. Pointing to the bewildered ape demon beside him, who was scratching his ears and cheeks, Wilhelm explained his reason for coming. It is good. Dr. Hawkins opened his mouth wide open. The ape demon was startled, and instinctively retreated violently and punched back. But being held down by Wilhelm, the terrified animal was directly pushed into Dr. Hawkins' big mouth that was opened and bitten. Tuntun factory plastic surgery. Dr. Hawkins chewed with his big mouth. His belly opened the door. A tall and thin figure quickly jumped out of the hall. The figure is still about 3 meters tall, and although the ordinary face is covered with stubble, it is no longer so wretched and out of harmony. No longer recognized, how it relates to the original Kizaru. Don't be afraid. Ain is the ability user of Munch Munch Fruit. He can transform or fuse all swallowed objects. I just asked him to transform your appearance. Looking at the ape demon, who was a little fearful and hiding in the distance. As he spoke, Wilhelm took a mirror and threw it to the ape demon. You can see you now. Huh? Catch the mirror, and the suspicious ape demon scratched his head. Curiously looking at the self above, he couldn't help but widen his eyes, full of surprise. The him in the mirror is really different from the memory. Leaving Dr. Hawkins' experimental base with the ape demon scratching his head, Wilhelm sent him to Shiryu of the Rain and others, and asked them to tune him. And deliberately took some time to guide Stussy to develop his own devil fruit ability. I hope that this private property, who has just been subdued by him, can master the ability of Vortex Fruit early and improve his own strength as soon as possible. As the Queen of Joy Street, and also a member of the top-secret cipher Polkpo directly under the Celestial Dragons under the world government, Stussy, who is deeply trusted by the world government, is now turned around by him, as a chess piece he placed in the CPO, and will be used in the future not small. After verification. So far, the limit range that Stussy's Paramecia Vortex Fruit ability can manipulate is only about 100 meters in radius. Although in general, it is already quite strong. But it is far from the real natural disaster level. It also requires continuous development and exercise. Yes, compress the Uzumaki extremely, and see if you can fire a rotating air cannon. Bolu, the phone bug in his pocket suddenly rang. Wilhelm, who was teaching Stussy to exercise the ability of the Vortex Fruit, raised his eyebrows and took out the phone bug. Not shying away from Stussy, who looked over in surprise, pressed the connect button. In the phone bug, imitating a silhouette showing a little fortitude, straight to the point, concise and clear. Master Wilhelm, we have successfully entered the advanced city. Oh, all right. Wilhelm raised his eyebrows, smiled, and asked, is there any Lunaria corpse? Yes. Imprisoned in ice, and this time. Far in the first half of the Grand Line, located in the deep-sea prison in Calm Belt, Impel Down. 5.5 floors underground. A tall man with short curly black hair, about 2 meters tall, bulging muscles, full of oppression. His face is resolute and full of calmness. Holding an anti-tapping phone bug, he was reporting earnestly there. And standing on his shoulders was Pato the civet cat. Moreover, Wilhelm, who was in the sea area of New World Toto Land, unexpectedly appeared here and followed him beside him. But the next moment, he directly turned into smoke and disappeared. That's good. Thank you for your hard work, Sakamuni. Wilhelm showed a satisfied smile, and said, bring me back the people and the corpses, and move on to the next mission goal. Clear. Click. Hang up the phone. Chi Tuxi on the opposite side was shocked. Looking at Wilhelm in disbelief, he asked in a low voice, did you have someone attack Impel Down? Well, don't be so surprised, shrugged, and Wilhelm chuckled lightly. At first, I didn't plan to do it so quickly, but I asked Katakori and Shiryu of the Rain to replace the Devil Fruit and Feathered Serpent the ability of Cool's Snake Fruit, phantasmal beast, and feathered serpent that he snatched from the prisoner of impelled down the 6th floor of eternal hell. The world government guessed that I can snatch other people's devil fruit ability. It will be sooner or later matter. Since this is the case, then naturally there is no need to be polite to those guys, and it is better to act first. Wilhelm was very clear. A monster imprisoned in the impelled down prison. It's not just the Red Earl and Bullet. Especially, in the corpse that has been frozen for too long and has lost the breath of life. There are also many big figures who have been famous in a certain era in the past few hundred years. Originally, I wanted to use it as a devil fruit reserve. Since there is a risk that the world government may be prepared for in advance, I will decisively start with impelled down. Sakamuni, formerly known as Sengoku of Admiral of Headquarters Buddha. Resurrected by Wilhelm in the form of the human fruit, Phantom Beast, and Great Buddha. Endowed by the form of the Phantom Beast. Great Buddha. The Buddha-like wisdom and extraordinary understanding allow him to perfectly inherit everything from that Marine Admiral. Even his high degree of myopia was cured by Wilhelm with the ability of 10 rings. The strength is even innate, far better than Feathered Serpent Kerr, Miyamoto Musashi and others. I have to say that the effect of the Renring Guru Phantom Beast series is extraordinary. The wisdom and understanding it bestows on the corpse is indeed not comparable to other Phantom Beasts. Even though it was just born, it has already infinitely approached the monster, and its combat power is astonishingly strong. Even Wilhelm can barely suppress him. Moreover, it is different from Miyamoto Musashi at all. Shikiya, naturally awakened conqueror's haki by virtue of the bequest of the Buddha Sengoku and quickly mastered it smoothly. It was one of several Phantom Beast powerhouses under Wilhelm. Currently the only one who has awakened and possessed conqueror's haki. Therefore, he was relieved to let him take Tanuki Pado to the deep-sea prison in the first half of the Grand Line. With Pado's ability, he only needs to conjure himself, and he can directly use the elusive fruit transfer ability to sneak into impelled down with it and Shikiya. Tisk tisk, little Wilhelm, you were really beyond my expectations. Stussy laughed. There was an indescribable splendor in her eyes. She stared at Wilhelm's handsome face, and marveled there. Obviously, except for Shiryu Amami and Musashi Miyamoto, Wilhelm's subordinates. There are other aces with astonishing strength and impressive abilities. Otherwise, it is impossible to let other people do this with such confidence, but should go there in person. Reminiscent of the extremely rare Sengoku of the Admiral of Headquarters Buddha's human fruit, Phantom Beast species, and Great Buddha form ability, she already had some guesses in her heart. Thinking of the Lunalia tribe mentioned by Wilhelm just now, she said curiously, however, you just mentioned the Lunalia tribe? This is a very rare race. It is said that it is almost extinct. Wilhelm looked at her with a smile. Oh, have you heard of the Lunaria tribe? But not very surprised. As a member of the CPO, it is normal for Stussy to know something about the Lunaria tribe. It is said that a long time ago, there was a God's kingdom on the Red Line, inhabited by a group of aborigines, the Lunaria tribe, who possess incredible racial talents and can survive in any harsh natural environment. Stussy recalled there. The world government has issued a reward order, and you can get 100 million Baileys just by seeing the whereabouts of this tribe. Report to the world government. Without hiding Stussy's meaning, Wilhelm said lightly, Mom, doesn't she desire that the Toto Land Kingdom can gather all the races in the world? Then I will let her wish. Whether it is the ancient Titan clan or the Lunaria clan. They all have extremely astonishing racial talents. If Charlotte Linlin can obtain the genes of this family, and let Charlotte Linlin give birth to a child with the blood and racial talents of this family, there may be some surprises. North Blue's Germa 66, that transformed the embryos into bloodline factors, endowing them with superhuman talent. Although some of them are not perfect, if Dr. Hawkins is to study them in depth, it may not be impossible to further improve them. Powerful exoskeleton, amazing resilience, and even the ability to manipulate fire, electric shock, invisibility, etc. Comparable enough to some pretty good devil fruit abilities. Maybe they can really cultivate a few out-and-out monsters. Lin? Stussy's pupils shrank, and he laughed lightly. It's inexplicably exciting. She could imagine that if Charlotte Linlin, a monster woman who could completely ignore racial segregation, would really give birth to a child with Lunaria blood. It could be really amazing. The first half of the Grand Line. Deep sea prison, impelled down, within 5.5 floors underground. Several corpses were transformed by Dr. Hawkins with the ability of munch fruit. Wilhelm, which was transformed by Tanuki Pado with the ability of dog fruit, Phantom Beast, and raccoon form, used the ability to transfer fruit to replace it in the frozen area inside Eternal Hell. even, in order not to be discovered prematurely. The heir of the devil, Douglas Bullet, the Red Earl, Beloric Redfield. These amazingly powerful and well-known big shots were all replaced by stand-ins, conjured up by Poto. Will be in the next period of time. Disappear slowly. The real body was quietly transferred to the 5.5th floor. In addition, there are several corpses of strong men. Among them, it is somewhat unbelievable. A dark-skinned corpse that had been frozen for an unknown number of years had a pair of pitch-black wings. It's unbelievable. Trapped by the sea stone, the Red Earl, Laird, who was powerless to resist, stared at Sakamuni in front of him. Long-term malnutrition, not seeing the sun, some withered and slovenly faces showed shock. In this world, there are monsters like you. As expected, nothing can be hidden from your innate observation haki. Sakamuni was not surprised. Inherited the memory of Buddha Sengoku. He is naturally no stranger to this strong man with aloof personality. Different from other powerhouses, Red Earl Redfield was born with the observation haki of listening to others. Precisely because he was able to hear the voices of other people around him since he was a child, he was exposed to the ugly human nature prematurely, which made his temperament grow more and more withdrawn as he grew older. Go to sea alone, and form a pirate group alone. Unwilling to be with anyone, galloping freely on this sea, making a big name. With his own strength, he can keep pace with legendary pirates such as One Piece Roger, Whitebeard Edward Newgate, Golden Lion Shaki, etc. He even defeated Naval Headquarters Marshal Kong by virtue of his strong strength. But he was also arrested by Garp, who arrived in time because of exhaustion. That brat. The last time he sneaked in here, I already found out that he is not simple. I didn't expect to make such a big commotion, the Red Earl said lightly. Even in Eternal Hell. He has also listened to the pirates imprisoned in the Eternal Hell for the past 2 days about the huge turmoil that happened outside. Naval Headquarters did not hesitate to mobilize most of the elite on the Grand Line to form an expedition fleet of more than 50,000 people. The Admiral of Headquarters, who has Buddha Sengoku, personally sits in command, and there are more than 10 Naval Headquarters Vice Admiral, and countless other generals and officers. Under such circumstances, the entire army was almost wiped out. A string of Sengoku, the Marine Admiral, was sacrificed. It's just unbelievable. The Red Earl said with some self-mockery. It's really sad that even the corpse can't rest in peace after death. But his face was calm, without any fear. There is no intention of begging for mercy in a low voice, or actively asking to join Charlotte Wilhelm's command. Instead, he possesses the means to resurrect the dead. I will not hesitate to choose this relatively more reliable way to obtain powerful subordinates. Instead of recruiting those strong men who are rebellious and have a great possibility of betrayal. It looks like you're already mentally prepared. Sakamuni hugged his arms and looked at each other indifferently. He has nothing against these things. Not long after he was born, the memory of Sengoku, the Admiral of Headquarters, naturally inevitably affected him. But in those memories, let alone whether those pirates are evil or not, whether it is the self-proclaimed righteous Marine or the aloof world government, there are countless dirty things done in private. Although they kept saying it was for justice, it was nothing but self-deception. Is impure justice really still justice? Therefore, he was not so sympathetic. Willing to follow the Master Wilhelm who created him by using the ability to transfer fruits. Silently witnessing this era, Red Earl Ryder smiled and remained silent. Rather than being mentally prepared, it is better to say that you are powerless to resist. But until the last moment, how could a strong man like him really be willing to give up hope? Otherwise, he would have committed suicide in the dark and tormented eternal hell. Although I don't know what your purpose is. But, if you want to kill Lousy, I don't think it will take so much effort. With shocking scars all over his body, Bullet in prison uniform sneered and spoke. Although bound by the sea stone, there is no fear at all. He looked directly at Sakamuni in front of him, full of sarcasm. Do you want Lousy to work? If you want to think so, it's not impossible. Sakamuni looked at the rebellious Bullet, and said lightly, however, I don't think you will give in so easily. And, your future is not up to me to decide. In his opinion, considering that there are not so many Phantom Beast abilities. Maybe that adult might not necessarily get rid of all the strong men brought back this time. And this one who advocates power wants to surpass the dead One Piece Roger and become the heir of the devil who is the strongest in the world. Although his temperament is unruly and tyrannical, if he can completely crush or even crush his pride and ambition, it may not be impossible to subdue him. The current Master Wilhelm may not be able to do it. But with the other party's terrifying talent and potential, I'm afraid it won't be long before he will become a real monster. Beaver he, boss Sakamuni. At this time, Tanuki Pato was jumping there, landing on Sakamuni's shoulder. He asked with a smile, are we going to leave next? Compared to the cold and vicious, feathered serpent, Kuer, it relatively prefers this similar, who has the ability of human fruit, phantom beast, and Buddha form. That smell is not disgusting. It is quite happy to partner with the other party. Well, it's almost there, and it's time to return to New World. Several days down, as the news of the battle in the Ho Xilc area gradually spread. After a short period of buffering and fermentation, it can be said that the sea is boiling and the world is shaking. In the eyes of the world, the Big Mom pirates are already qualified to keep pace with the Whitebeard pirates, who have the legendary pirate, world's strongest man, Whitebeard, Edward Newgate. And with the all-pervasive CP under the world government, they frantically scouted for information. The wanted list for all members of the Big Mom pirates has been fully updated. Because Naval Headquarters has never experienced such a huge loss, even one Admiral of Headquarters and two Admiral Alternates were lost in this battle. Captain, no doubt unprecedented attention, listed her as an extremely dangerous person, and offered a reward of more than 5 billion Baileys. And Charlotte Wilhelm, naturally needless to say. That cannot be ignored, the ability that makes people hard to guard against and the extremely high danger. Let him directly surpass Katakuri, the strongest star in the past, and become the existence in the Charlotte family whose bounty is second only to Big Mom, and is the second billion Bailey. The bounties of the 4 dessert stars of the Charlotte family are all over 600 million Baileys. Even the rewards offered by swordsman Ryoma, feathered snake Kerr, Miyamoto Musashi and others were officially announced by Naval Headquarters. Accompanied by countless newsbirds, they sprinkled all over the sea. Devil Airman, Charlotte Katakuri, bounty 1.5 billion berries. Candy Freak, Charlotte Parasparrow, 679 million Bailey. Senju, Charlotte Cracker, bounty 615 million Baileys. Reggie, Charlotte Smoothie, with a bounty of 550 million Baileys. Puncture Wave, Charlotte Castard, bounty 500 million Baileys. Shadow Predator, Gecko Moria, bounty 500 million Bailey. The Witch of Fire, Charlotte Armand, bounty 472 million Bailey. Alala, Marine Guys, the bounty given this time is surprisingly generous. Love Island, on the harbor. Flipping through dozens of new bounty lists about the Big Mom pirates that fell from the newspaper, Bloyer, the 9th daughter of the Charlotte family, chuckled and said, even my bounty has changed. That's 335 million Pele's. I also have 300 million berries. The 4th girl, Yasho, breathed out the smoke lightly, and said slowly there. The 15th woman, Strong, shrugged. Sneyman and I have also raised the bounty to 100 million berries. I don't know if Naval Headquarters is too lazy to name it. All in all, except for the nicknames of Charlotte Linlin and Wilhelm. The code names of other members of the Charlotte family were all changed to the positions granted to them by Charlotte Linlin, the Queen of the Toto Land Kingdom, leaving people speechless. Shiryu's bounty mentions 825 million berries, Masashi's bounty mentions 790 million berries directly. Kerr's bounty mentions 75 million berries, Ryoma's bounty also mentions 700 million berries, Moria's bounty also mentions 500 million Bailey. Smoothie, who was wearing a long skirt, said with a light smile, except for Moria, even Brother Peros and Cracker's bounty can't compare to the 4 of them. It's okay to say that Mom's bounty is more than 4 billion Baileys. Based on the threat level of the Big Mom pirates, it is not surprising that the world government raised her bounty to 5 billion Baileys. Sneyman, who was also beautifully dressed, flicked his black long straight ponytail and said with a smile, but I have to say, the bounties of Katakuri's big brother and Wilhelm are really exaggerated to make people jaw-dropping. Although in terms of strength, they are indeed fully worthy of this bounty, but the sudden increase is really surprising. It's about time, it's time to go. Wilhelm. Smoothie was all smiles. Waving to Wilhelm and others who came from a distance. The tea party is about to begin, and those big figures in the dark world have all arrived one after another. In an instant, the entire port was on. All eyes were attracted by Wilhelm, who was so handsome in a rare white dress. I was speechless in amazement. So much so that today's protagonists such as Shiryu in suits and leather shoes, Ryoma the swordsman, Kuro the feathered serpent, Musashi Miyamoto, Gecko Moria, etc. who are by Wilhelm's side are ignored. Because today is not just a tea party, it's their wedding. Although it is just pretending in front of Big Mom. But Wilhelm with silver hair shawl, white dress and expressionless face. standing there alone eclipsed the groom officials of Shiryu of the Rain. That innate, unbelievably handsome face that has fascinated countless women and made them crazy. There is also a noble temperament that seems to come from the bones, which makes people feel heartbroken and dare not offend. Instantly killed swordsman Ryoma, Miyamoto Musashi, Rain Shiryu and others. Ah, the groomsman, you were really well dressed. Wearing a sexy short skirt, dressed up in fancy dress, the gorgeous and moving Stussy is full of smiles. But say it. Her fiery gaze never moved away from Wilhelm's body for a moment. As if wishing she could wear a beautiful white wedding dress and stand beside Wilhelm. Of course, such thoughts are not limited to her. Yamato, Hancock, Armand, Castard, Smoothie, Sneyman, Garrett. At this moment, the same thoughts came to mind, and such thoughts flashed subconsciously. All of them looked at the perfect silver-white figure with gleaming eyes. Pretty face flushed involuntarily, it looks ruddy and moving. However, no one thought of it. Just when Wilhelm and his group located in the waters of Todo Land were preparing to go from the Island of Love to Cake Island to attend the tea party. Far in the first half of New World, as the experimental base of the Marine Science Force, the heavily guarded Punk Hazard. Suddenly there was a terrible attack. Woo! Swept past like a hurricane. On the island, an agent named Marine didn't even have time to scream. It has been ruthlessly killed in seconds. Kai. Bang smash, boom boom, damn intruder. Can this monster not be killed? Punk Hazard. In the huge experimental base, a small figure was changing there like liquid metal. Gunpowder smoke filled the air, and countless projectiles collided with it, deforming in an instant, and falling to the ground one after another. The shells bombarded it, unable to cause any damage at all. In the blink of an eye, it turned into a human form, and its figure was as swift as rain. Shushua. Stomped under his feet, performing the shave in the 6 styles. The incomparably sharp, blade-like 10 fingers, and even the blade-like, scalp-numbing arm, kept coming out violently. An agent named Marine was frightened and chilled. Ah! The body was ruthlessly pierced and torn by it in an instant. There was a desperate scream, and he fell in a pool of blood. It looks like a human-shaped killing machine, which makes people shudder. Tempest Kick Chaos. Tempest Kick. Line. Tempest Kick Guy Bird. Armed color Iron Body Jade. In an extremely spacious, but messy hall, a man named World Government sent over to guard the Marine Science Unit was actually a senior agent responsible for monitoring these scientists in disguise. With a murderous look, he crazily attacked and killed the intruder in front of him. Between electric light and flint, there are bursts of Sanskrit sounds, and the Buddha's light shines everywhere. A huge figure shining with golden light appeared in the hall. Boom. All the attacks that could easily tear steel and cut gold and jade fell on him. There were bursts of clashing sounds of gold and iron. There is no trace left on it. It makes people break out in a cold sweat. How is this possible? That guy's ability. Admiral of Headquarters, the ability of Sengoku of the Buddha. Human fruit, phantasmal beast, Buddha form. This moment. The senior agents present couldn't help shrinking their pupils sharply and their complexions changed drastically. With disbelief, they broke out in cold sweat. However, the huge Buddha directly shot. The tall and unparalleled figure is unimaginably wide and fast. In an instant, it was in front of them. A dazzling huge Buddha's palm came to suppress it ruthlessly. Above, there is a layer of pale white light visible to the naked eye. It enveloped the few powerful senior agents, Buddha's wrath. In a split second, it seems that there is really an ancient Buddha who is furious. A violent and unparalleled huge shockwave burst out without any scruples at all. Boom. The loud noise shook the sky, and the entire experimental base shook violently and roared endlessly. A large area was instantly bombarded and collapsed. Gravel splashed and smoke filled the air. These agents even vomited blood, flying out like cannonballs. They were all covered in blood, lying there unconsciously. At the same time, a huge golden figure, he rushed out without hesitation. Observation Hockey has already locked them. The huge shockwave once again enveloped a senior agent who had just rushed out and turned into a ferocious gorilla, covered in armament hockey. Seeing it was too late to dodge, the CPO senior agent in the form of a gorilla, pupil wood enlargement. Without hesitation, with armament hockey covering his whole body, his veins bulged and his hands were put together. 6 styles, an astonishing wave distorted the atmosphere and blasted out brazenly without fear. The largest round, the Six Kings Spear. Accompanied by an unbelievably violent shockwave that shook the ground. The whole laboratory trembled again. Large areas of buildings were turned into ruins, filled with smoke and dust. But there is no suspense. The gorilla flew out like a cannonball, slammed into the iron wall of a laboratory, fell there, and directly returned to its human form. His body was covered in blood, his eyes turned white, and he did not know whether he was alive or dead. Boom. The terrifying and majestic Buddha struck again. It was extremely huge, covered with the powerful armament Hoki's golden fist, and instantly blasted a senior agent who was trying to escape here, a raw cow, into a meat paste. Shave. Several CPO members, bleeding from their mouths, were in a panic, and they were about to flee in all directions without hesitation. But they were fast, the golden figure was even faster. Can't react at all. Boom, the huge Buddha's palm came to suppress it. Another violent shockwave erupted suddenly. The few surviving CPO senior agents were blasted until they vomited blood and turned their eyes white. Clean and neat, shocking the audience. Hiss. That rascal, to me, it's almost like the late Sengoku, the Buddha of Admiral of Headquarters, is making a move. In a laboratory that was not affected by the battle. Dr. Vegapunk, the chief genius scientist under the world government, and a large number of scientists in white coats were arranged to take emergency refuge here. With the help of the monitor, watching the dazzling tall figure in the hall, all of them couldn't help but look sluggish. Full of shock, some unbelievable laughter. River hee, Boss Sakamuni, I have already dealt with those people outside. A humanoid monster covered in blood and shining with metallic luster came here. It directly turned into a harmless civet cat. Said toward Sakamuni, who had transformed into the form of a giant Buddha and easily killed these senior CPO agents in seconds. Pado, let Master Wilhelm come over and recover his abilities. Sakamuni put away the form of the big Buddha and changed back to his usual appearance. He pointed to the senior agent who was covered in blood and completely lost the power to resist, but still breathed a sigh of relief. He didn't shy away from Dr. Vegapunk and others who were hiding in the monitoring room. He said directly to Pado, this guy is an ability user in the form of the ape fruit and gorilla. I think that Lord will be very happy. Okay. Pado, who was bouncing around there, nodded happily. Scratching his head, he asked, do you want to take the whole lab, or just the scientists? Take the entire laboratory away, lest the world government get a glimpse of our information. Sakamuni said indifferently, however, there is no guarantee that there may be some kind of lifecard hidden in this laboratory. For us, it is a potential threat, and when the time comes, use the ability of the Golden Lion to destroy it, and throw it directly into the sea. Under the power of Dr. Hawkins' Munch fruit, the experimental base at the bottom of the island of love is bigger than here. Talking. His figure flashed, covered with the fistprints of senior armament Hoki. It blatantly blasted through a metal wall, and the violent airflow made the scientists unsteady and fell to pieces. I'm sorry, I offended. With a faint smile, Sakamuni glanced at the scientists who were a little embarrassed and inevitably panicked, and asked Dr. Vegapunk, the leader, with a faint smile, I think you guys should obediently leave with us, right? Dr. Vegapunk, with disheveled hair and a tall, thin figure, seemed very calm, looked at the other party, and shrugged helplessly. It seems that I have no choice. Well, don't be so resistant, Dr. Hawkins, I still miss you colleagues from the MADS team. Dr. Hawkins? You mean that Hawkins Ein guy? Isn't he locked up and impelled down? Lord Wilhelm. Wow, you are so handsome. No, I'm going to faint. Master Wilhelm, it's perfect. What a noble and handsome Master Wilhelm. I want to marry you, Wilhelm Heaven, it's so handsome. Cake Island, on the harbor. The huge ark landed in the sky. Countless women have already been looking forward to it. Various islands from Toto land waters, not limited to Cake Islands. Because, this is one of the few opportunities for them all year round, without being restricted by the rules of the Toto land kingdom, to witness the trembling nobleman, up close. The red carpet has been laid from the Cake Castle to the port. On both sides, countless heavily armed homies soldiers were guarding there, holding knives and guns to separate the audience, waiting in full force. Strictly prevent someone from losing their minds and attacking the line of defense. Because, it is not that such things have never happened in the past. Almost ruined a much-anticipated tea party, prompting Charlotte Linlin to throw a tantrum. Along with Wilhelm, Smoothie, Armand, Custard, Shiryu of the Rain, Swordsman Ryoma and others landed one after another. A large number of young women's eyes were full of heart, and their faces were flushed. Nearly mad, crowded like crazy, where you push each other. Countless people wept with joy when they saw Wilhelm's unbelievably handsome and perfect figure, and couldn't contain their excitement. Some people were too emotional and excited on the spot, and passed out. Special ambulance personnel continued to land on flying carpets, sending them out for first aid. On both sides of the red carpet, those male pirates and civilians who wanted to see the golden flowers of the Charlotte family, such as Armand, Castard, Smoothie, and Sneyman, were all squeezed to the back. One by one, like the rest of their lives after a catastrophe, they couldn't help but break out in a cold sweat when they looked at the women who lost their minds. Ah, as expected of you, little Wilhelm, on the port. Stussy, who was following Wilhelm, squinted his sapphire-like crescent eyes, and smiled lightly with his pretty face in his hands. The members of the Charlotte family, including Armand and Smoothie, were completely familiar with the strangeness inside. The popularity is still as exaggerated as ever. Full of indescribable pride. Such is the popularity of their younger brother, the most perfect masterpiece of the Charlotte family. A superstar in Toto land. Now, with its photos spread all over the world. It can be said that he is a superstar in the whole sea. Tisk tisk, totally insane. This is the first time I have seen such a crazy scene. These women have completely lost their minds just to see Lord Wilhelm. I have to say, it's really enviable popularity. Shiryu of the Rain, Ryoma the Swordsman, Musashi Miyamoto, Kuro the Feathered Serpent, and Gecko Moria were completely shocked. I only felt my scalp go numb, and I looked at each other, dumbfounded, completely speechless. In the waters of Toto land before, they were not aware of the exaggeration of Wilhelm's popularity, but they had never seen such a scene. It's not just the port, from both sides of the street to the end of the town. It was densely packed and full of people. Most of them are young women, screaming and shouting frantically. They witnessed with their own eyes that many women cried with joy on the spot, and some even fainted from excitement and were carried down for first aid. With such an exaggerated appeal, I'm afraid that with just one order, these women will go all out for him and go all out with the vicious pirates and marines, right? Shiryu of the Rain was inexplicable. The bridegroom's limelight was completely robbed by the others. Fortunately, they didn't intend to really get married, otherwise they would die of depression. All in all, if someone really called this noble son of the Charlotte family over for their wedding, they might immediately be overwhelmed by the guests and the scene would be completely taken away. Of course, if you are more open-minded, think in a good place. Perhaps it should be an honor for me to be able to invite such a heavyweight guest to the scene. On the cake castle, a group of big men in suits and leather shoes of different shapes. He had already been attracted by the exaggerated movement, and he was paying attention there. Wearing a top hat and a bow tie, he looks full of gentlemanly demeanor, but the big beak, small eyes, white feathers all over the body, and big tail, which are only found in birds, resemble wings in the shape of hands. From top to bottom, it is completely a bloated albatross in human clothes. Women all over the country came to chase stars, just to see this noble son of the Charlotte family. This is a sensational news. He grinned, eyes full of excitement. The big wing-like hands are holding a camera phone bug. Facing the crowded scene there, I kept pressing the shutter button. Impressively, as the president of the best-selling news media, World Economic News Agency in Grand Line, Big News, Morgans. As a birdfruit albatross formability user, he has always been active outside with this appearance, but no one has ever seen his true appearance. I have very close ties with various forces, large and small, such as Marine, pirates, and even the world government. Tens of thousands of newsbirds have been domesticated, so that the Shijingbao issued by them can travel across the ocean and spread all over the world in the shortest possible time. It plays a pivotal role in gathering intelligence and manipulating public opinion. He is one of the well-deserved emperors in the dark world. If this thrilling noble son is willing to accept our exclusive invitation from the World Economic Society to make a photo album, it will be guaranteed to sell well all over the world, and he will definitely make a lot of money. Looking at the silver-white figure that was getting closer and closer on the red carpet in the distance, Morgans, whose eyes were shining, waved his wings and said excitedly, "If you are not afraid of being killed, you can mention it to that person in person later." A middle-aged man with a bloated body, wearing a pair of small round-frame sunglasses, and biting a cigar, said with a sneer. Under the sunglasses, the small eyes looking at the silver-white figure were full of fear. His name is Liu Feld, the usury king, nicknamed Fu Shen. The main business of the operation is usury, and it is one of the holders of currency circulation in the dark world. Guji, I remember the last guy who said that like Morgans, but he was also involved in the usury industry, not inferior to you, the god of fortune, now the grass on the grave is several meters high. Pierre, the big-handed undertaker, carrying a sickle, sneered there. Huh. The lone shark king Lou Field's face was ashen, but he couldn't refute. Originally in the usury industry, he could only take second place. But a few years ago, he caught up from behind and became a veritable lone shark king. The reason is because of the one who was on top of him, because at a tea party 6 years ago, after being drunk, he got carried away and tried to discuss with Big Mom, threatening to offer 500 million Baileys to invite him. The 22nd son of the Charlotte family, who had just turned 9 years old at the time, made his debut for a photo shoot. As a result, he offended the noble son of the Charlotte family, and was directly killed by the other party on the spot. And he was able to take advantage of this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to convene a large-scale attack and seize the other party's business. Taking advantage of the momentum, it has secured the top spot in the usury industry. After all, I would like to thank this noble son of the Charlotte family. But more, it is the deep awe of the Big Mom Pirates, a terrifying pirate force. Big news, Morgans laughed dryly. Of course I know this kind of thing very well, just think about it. The tea party 6 years ago, he is also there. Above the banquet. The 9-year-old but handsome His Royal Highness Wilhelm made his public appearance for the first time and became the focus of attention of the audience. The former lone shark king who was drunk, went into a daze, and suggested to Big Mom that he would spend 500 million Baileys to invite the 22nd son of the Charlotte family to take a photo. It's a very interesting idea. Please don't bring up such a wonderful idea in the future. Accompanied by such a fluttering sentence. The noble young man sat there without moving, not even raising his eyebrows, but just raised his hand in an understatement. The vast majority of people didn't react at all. The former lone shark king, a big man who had a good reputation in the dark world and could call the wind and rain, directly fell to the head. In an instant, he was instantly killed by the 22nd son who had just turned 9 years old and was recognized as the most perfect masterpiece of the Charlotte family. It really scared a lot of people. And when leaving the field, that Charlotte Wilhelm, who was completely out of age, was as sharp as a falcon, and people couldn't help but glanced at him intentionally or unintentionally, as if warning him. I was so surprised that I was a little excited at the time. Morgans, who was secretly taking pictures there, broke out in a cold sweat, and some were cold from head to toe. I can't believe that this is the look that a 9-year-old kid can have, as if he is facing real monsters like Whitebeard and Big Mom. Considering that there is no need to offend the Big Mom pirates because of such little news, or it may not be out of fear of this little monster of the Charlotte family. In short, Morgans did not report the details of that tea party in the Shijing newspaper. But after this tea party, inside the circle of their dark world, the trembling noble son, the title spread like wildfire. They are the kings of the dark world, and they are listed as one of the objects that cannot be provoked. It's really careless. Damn it, what force did it? I think it has something to do with the Big Mom pirates. Top of the red line, Sanctuary Marie Joyce. Between powers, 5 elders' complexion was as gloomy as water. It never occurred to them, it was just a moment of negligence, that someone would dare to invade Punk Hazard, the research base of the Marine Science Corps, and take all the scientists. Up. Other scientists are fine, but Dr. Vegapunk, a genius scientist with 500 years of wisdom beyond the current human, his mind is too dangerous. It would be disturbing if such a talented scientist could not be in the hands of the world government. Your Excellency 5 elders, according to CP's rigorous investigation, there are indications that it is most likely that the Golden Lion did it. A CPO ace agent wearing a mask knelt on one knee and said in a deep voice, and according to the investigation, there were indeed witnesses seeing that guy flying over there with a huge fortress at Doris Rose's side. In addition, he may have discovered the existence of lifecards in the laboratory, so he did not hesitate to give up that experimental base, which can be said to be the most advanced in the world today, and use the ability of lion fruit to completely destroy it and throw it into the deep sea. He was also a little helpless. If it wasn't for the 5 elders' order a few days ago to call back the ace agent who was specially guarding Dr. Vegapunk, even the flying pirate who roamed the world might not be able to take away the scientists of the Marine Science Team. How could the defense of the Marine Science Corps be so lax? At worst, it can last until Marine and CPO surpass to support. Golden Lion? The flying pirate? Chopped off both legs from Impel Down 3 years ago, disappeared, and popped up again? What a restless guy. If it's really him, we'll be in big trouble. 5 elders looked ugly. because Charlotte Wilhelm that bastard once invaded Marie Joyce. But the expedition fleet responsible for the crusade against the Big Mom pirates suffered an unprecedented fiasco. That kind of elusive and unpredictable ability is really dreadful. It made a large number of world nobles living in Pangu City, and even the 5 of them who held the highest power in the world government, a little uneasy and timid. Considering the tens of thousands of marine elites in the expedition fleet, they were imprisoned in a different space by the opponent in a blink of an eye, and even the Battle of Buda was watched carelessly by the Admiral of Headquarters. They had to withdraw the trump card that was originally responsible for protecting and monitoring the Marine Science Corps, and return to Marie Joyce to guard against death. Beware of that audacious, tremorous nobleman, sneaking into Marie Joyce on a whim to make trouble. After all, the other party only stole a few devil fruits last time, so what if they want the lives of the celestial dragons, or even the heads of the 5 of them next time? The unrestricted, weird ability to move instantly is already exaggerated enough. Now adding a Paramecia door fruit ability that can open doors at any position and enter and exit from different spaces at will, it is simply unsolvable. Even in the face of the encirclement and suppression of more than one naval headquarters with the highest combat power and even the CPO ace, that man may be able to come and go freely, and there is nothing he can do to win the other party. Seriously search the whereabouts of the flying pirates immediately, and bring Dr. Vegapunk back. Long Whitebeard's 5 elders paced there. With a solemn expression, he looked down at the CPO official in front of him and said, "There are also those scientists, even if their brains are not as good as Vegapunk, the bloodline factor technology they master is quite a threat to the world government. If they can't be saved, at least they can't be allowed to work for forces other than the world government." The bald 5 elders has a sinister face. Long Whitebeard 5 elders, big mustache bald 5 elders, flat hat 5 elders, blonde 5 elders looked at each other, didn't say much, apparently acquiesced. For them, Dr. Vegapunk's mind, which is 500 years beyond the current human wisdom, is of course important. But if it cannot be used by oneself, it must be destroyed. It must not be used by the enemy, clear. How's the deal between Marine and Big Mom? Asks the blonde 5 elders. Today is the tea party held by Charlotte Linlin. Marine Staff Officer Crane has asked people from CP to contact us. I believe there will be results soon. Far in the middle half of the New World, Toto Land Sea Area, the headquarters of the Big Mom Pirates, Cake Island. Beautiful, like a fairy tale cake castle. Certificate. Congratulations to the bride and groom for their tie, and they will be together forever. Accompanied by the Master of Ceremonies, he began to announce the official end of the cumbersome wedding ceremony. Whether it is Shiryu the Rain, Ryoma the Swordsman, Gecko Moria and others, or the daughters of the Charlotte family who have already learned the truth, and no longer have any expectations or fantasies about this wedding, and are even more relieved, can't help secretly heaving a sigh of relief. Mama, it's finally time to start. Charlotte Linlin, who was sitting bold and grandiose, beamed. Thinking of the next wedding cake, she couldn't help feeling sour in her stomach, and the tall figure licked her lips and laughed. Delicious wedding cake, I've been waiting for a long time. A wedding cake that was as tall as a house, extremely exquisite, and exaggeratedly large was brought up. Cakes exuding tempting aromas were delivered to the tables of many guests one after another. Your Highness Wilhelm, you are now a celebrity. In front of the huge round table, the president of the World Economic Society, big news, Morgan's toasted Wilhelm there, looked at him with fiery eyes, and said, "Will you consider accepting an exclusive interview with our World Economic Society? Oh no, I know you don't like trouble, let me take a close-up photo and make it the headline tomorrow." Although doing so may not be as profitable as taking pictures. But he believes that if he can get Wilhelm's permission to put a close-up photo of this thrilling nobleman on the headlines of tomorrow's tea party, the sales volume of the newspaper will definitely explode, and may even break the previous best-selling record of Shijingbao. Among other things, just look at how crazy those women in Cake Island were before. Of course, given the temper of His Royal Highness Wilhelm, Morgans didn't hold out much hope. Just a tentative question. Yes, but only once. Surprisingly, Wilhelm didn't refuse, but directly said, 2 devil fruits. Those golden eyes pierced into the heart, and he looked at Morgans with a half-smile. Before the ugly words, except for those unknown devil fruits, don't fool me with those rubbish things. Huh. Devil fruit? Morgans, who was overjoyed just now, froze there for an instant. After struggling for a moment, he still gritted his teeth and nodded happily, deal. Although devil fruit is worth hundreds of millions of Baileys at worst. But with the energy of their World Economic News Agency, it is still no problem to take out 2 decent devil fruits. But devil fruit? Faintly, Morgans felt as if he had caught the favor of His Royal Highness Wilhelm. He had to wonder, if the loan shark Ochaku had accepted devil fruit to trade with Wilhelm a few years ago, wouldn't this noble son of the Charlotte family have refused at all? If you think about it this way, you always feel that the other party's death is a bit unlucky. The women on the side, including Smoothie and Armand, were dumbfounded when they heard this. When did devil fruit, known as the secret treasure of the sea, become so cheap? A close-up photo. Only allow publication once. This will get 2 devil fruits. How many devil fruits are worth on their bed? For a moment, the daughters of the Charlotte family pondered. One day, if there is no money to spend, should I take out the photos of myself waiting for others to smoke together with this brother Wilhelm these days? Of course, this is just a thought. That is impossible. They are not willing to share their Wilhelm brother with those outsiders. Even if it's just a photo, it's unique to them. His Royal Highness Wilhelm, our World Economic Society just bought an unknown devil fruit a few days ago. Please give me a little time to raise the remaining one. For Morgans is a miser. Maybe paying 2 devil fruits really made him feel a little bit heartbroken. But correspondingly, the return is huge and immeasurable. What's important is that the first time is raw and the second time is familiar. With the popularity of His Highness Wilhelm, if he can get the cooperation of the other party, the return he can earn is more than a few 100 million pele? Thinking of this, he couldn't help but his eyes lit up. He became a little excited and full of anticipation. Only now, His Highness Wilhelm, who was wearing a white dress and was so perfect that he became the focus of the audience. If he can take a perfect close-up photo later and publish it on the headlines of Shijing Daily tomorrow morning, it might drive those ladies and girls crazy in an instant. At the banquet. Pushing cups and changing cups, toasting and staggering. A tea party that enjoyed the guests and the host came to a successful conclusion. Nothing unpleasant happened. But the kings of the dark world, headed by the well-informed, big news, Morgans, know that the next thing is the beginning of the real thing. They have already received the wind, and Marine sent someone over to renegotiate with the big M pirates. Of course, unfortunately, they had to leave. It is obviously impossible for them to be present in this secret negotiation between the 2 major forces. Tisk tisk, what a pity. Morgans, who had been a little overjoyed at first, left with regret, taking the close-up photos taken with Wilhelm's permission. Wait for the kings of these dark worlds to leave one after another. A CP official wearing a white mask, a white suit, and a white cloak led 2 subordinates of different shapes who also wore strange masks and couldn't see their faces clearly. Facing the gazes of the members of the Charlotte family present who were full of sarcasm, disdain, ridicule, hatred, and rejection. They seemed very calm. He took off his hat and bowed to Charlotte Linlin there. Big Mom. I won't say more about the politeness. This time I am not representing the world government, but representing the Marine side. I am here with sincerity. The leading CPO member looked at Julo Linlin in front of me. He said calmly, so, I also hope that you can treat each other sincerely. Mama, it seems that the high-ranking world government and the self-proclaimed righteous naval headquarters will also compromise with the pirates. Charlotte Linlin was there sneering. After enjoying the delicious wedding cake, she was already full. I have no interest in talking to these loyal dogs under the world government, and I don't think they are qualified to talk to me. I have given Katakori full authority over this matter. You can talk to him. With that said, she swaggered up and left. Although several CPO members were somewhat dissatisfied, they did not dare to make trouble here. Then it's up to you to talk to them, Katakori big brother. Wilhelm shrugged. Anyway, he has already told Katakori about the bottom line of the Big Mom pirates. As a pirate, he knows what to do. He glanced at these CPO officials and ignored them. Take Armand, Smoothie, Custard and others directly to leave. He didn't have time to argue with these minions of the world government, so he might as well go back to practice if he had that time. Yes, I know. Katakori nodded. He went straight to a chair and sat there with his legs crossed. Looking down at the leading CPO members in front of him. This time, apart from the Marines we killed, we captured a total of about 15,000 elite Marines. If you want to redeem them all, you guys, what is the price to pay? In fact, this time the captive, far more than 15,000 people. But more than 18,000 people, close to 20,000 people. However, considering that these are the real elites in Marine, even if they want to be redeemed by the world government, they will be exchanged for a sky-high ransom. They also don't intend to restore too much of Marine's vitality. As the loser in this battle, there is really nothing to say. The CPO official insisted. This time the battle between world government and Marine was only a temporary loss, not a failure. He didn't make any detours, straight to the point, and said in a deep voice, Marine's condition is that they are willing to pay a ransom of 10 billion Baileys, whether it is gold jewelry or banknotes. It will be all right. I guess it's sincere enough. If your world government is not sincere, I don't think there is any need to talk about it. Katakuri sneered and said, if only 100 or 200 ordinary Marines are captured, this kind of ransom is barely enough in terms of unit price. But don't forget, this is not 100 or 200 people, nor 1,000 or 2,000 people, but tens of thousands of people, especially these captives are the elite drawn by Marine from the major branches in the first half of the Grand Line. The most important thing is that the current Marine force is empty, and it is completely powerless to suppress the chaotic sea situation. Looking at the CPO official, Katakuri said sarcastically, to put it bluntly, it's not even certain whether the current Marine can guard Marie Joyce, the center of your world government. Their significance to the Marine, to the world government, has exceeded their own value. You and I know it all. Well, what you said is not unreasonable. The CPO official was silent for a moment, heaved a sigh of relief, and said directly, then, how about we double it, 20 billion? 30 devil fruits, 50 billion Baileys, what? The expressions of the three CPO members changed drastically. Almost jumping, staring at Katakuri. This is impossible. Cracker, Perispero and others next to him sneered and seemed to be ready to strike at any time. After waving his hand, Katakuri glanced at them, and said lightly, don't be so impatient, I haven't finished talking yet. Also, take the ownership of Sakura Island, Roland Shuzen Island, Gigi Sari's Island, Hazeoli Rhodes Island, and Crescina Island controlled by the world government in the first half of the New World. Transfer to the Big Mom Pirates. In addition, Marine has completely withdrawn from New World, and the G1 branch and G5 branch are handed over to the Big Mom Pirate Group to take over. Impossible. Are you fantasizing? Although it is clear that situations are stronger than people. Guessing that the opponent will definitely open his mouth wide, he will bite off a large piece of fat from the world government and naval headquarters. But the appetite is too great. The leading CPO stopped the anger of the two subordinates behind him. He took a deep breath, tried his best to calm himself down, looked directly at Katakuri and said in a deep voice, you should be very clear that neither the Marine nor the world government can accept such a condition. It's okay to say that 50 billion Baileys are barely within the acceptable range. 30 devil fruits are simply impossible, and the current world government simply cannot produce them. After all, Marie Joyce was patronized by that trembling nobleman, not long ago, and almost stole all the devil fruit in Pangu City. Even if there is, it is impossible to give the devil fruit, which is a secret treasure of the sea, to the Big Mom pirates. That would be tantamount to helping the enemy grow stronger. And on those islands, there are important mineral resources such as copper, iron, aluminum, etc., and the reserves are extremely rich. It is impossible for the world government to transfer their ownership to mere pirates. The MARINEG-1 branch is the portal of the world government and shoulders the heavy responsibility of guarding Marie Joyce. The G5 fortress is the only large-scale military base in New World except for the G1 branch. Once the G5 branch is gone, the world government will lose control of New World completely. Moreover, G1 fortress is also facing the danger of facing pirates. The center of the world government, the portal of Marie Joyce, is half open to pirates. This is simply unacceptable.